Hello, this is RJ City, and I am ethically opposed to any more wrestling podcasts. I don't know why you guys are talking about wrestling. It is a niche product. It is a very small industry. Yet, at this point, there's more wrestling podcasts than there are wrestlers. There is something wrong with society as a whole, but as you get smaller and smaller into wrestling, and then the wrestling podcast sphere, it gets even worse. And one such example, if I may turn on the microscope and look at the drudgery that happens to be Tru Heel Heat. SP3, Sid, this is your fault.
Another week in pro wrestling and another jam-packed week of news and big shows coming off the heels of last weekend's Survivor Series and War Games or Board Games. Get it? Yeah. It was depressing. But it was a good week of wrestling otherwise, with Monday Night Raw, with Braun Breaker's pipe bomb. You got last night's SmackDown as Gunther punched his ticket to face John Cena in his final match. Over in AEW, you got the Continental Classic heating up with some of the best matches of the tournament so far, with Jon Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli battling out for leadership of the Death Riders, Kyle Fletcher and Kevin Knight showing us the future of AEW. Plus, you had ROH final battle last night with Athena keeping up her historic reign, plus survival of the fittest for the ROH World Championship. We're talking CMLL, we're talking New Japan, and much, much more, plus a special guest who has a great beard. We're going to talk about it all on the Tru Heel Heat flagship podcast. Let's hit the intro. Hello, it is me, your Tru Heel Phenom, SP3, and we are live on the Tru Heel Heat YouTube and Facebook for the Tru Heel Heat flagship podcast, Tru Heel Heat 358, discussing the latest wrestling news, including Roman Reigns changing WrestleMania 42 plans as the biggest backstage politician since Hollywood Hogan. We're going to talk about Netflix purchase of WBD and what it means for the future of AEW. We're going to talk some WWE Survivor Series War Games with the return of Liv Morgan, WWE RAW with Braun Breaker dropping a pipe bomb on CM Punk. You got WWE SmackDown with Gunther punching his ticket to face John Cena in his final match. WWE NXT on the go home to Deadline. Plus, you had TNA Final Resolution as well as AAA this week. Over in AEW, you had Dynamite with the Continental Classic keeping up. ROH had 2 shows before Final Battle this week as well. And you had CMLL, and we're going to talk about that also. Plus, we got some TikTok time for you to enjoy as well. And to do all well, very good, brother. Excuse me. We go first up. We got the one and only Tru Draw himself, Josh. How are you feeling?
Wait, what just happened?
What? You couldn't hear me? How you feeling, Josh? You good?
Yeah, I mean, no, because like the start, I mean, when you were talking, it just like cut right off, and I was just like, wait, what just happened?
It's because I was not on this. It's a stupid thing with StreamYard. It's fine. How are you doing?
I was like, oh, I don't know which way he acts. I'm doing good, I guess, because I don't know what just happened.
No, it's because StreamYard, when you change over to a different brand, it will knock you out completely. So if my audio went out, that's the reason why. I was knocked out completely because I changed the brand. But StreamYard and its updates, we gotta live with it, folks. But we got a special guest with us this week. The man with the beautiful beard between 2 beards over on Love Wrestling. One of the most energetic and positive wrestling fans out there. So can't wait to hear his thoughts on Survivor Series. The one and only Pluggo is here.
Thank you. I figured that's why you invited me for WarGames chatter, because you needed somebody to try to make some kind of sense of what happened on Saturday night. But I'm also, like I told you in the pre-show, I'm just here to be with you in solidarity that roles are not that important. They're good, but they ain't all that. That's why they're given away for free at restaurants. But I'm happy to be here and chat some wrestling. I'm glad you had me come on for the least exciting show of the week. But we're going to make some fun. We're going to make sense of it. I promise. We'll have some fun. I'll find some highlights.
There's got to be some highlights.
There's a few. There's a few.
But we're glad to have you on. How's everything been going overall on Between 2 Beards and in life in general?
Oh, well, life has been crazy. It's always an adventure. I stabbed myself ahead of Dynamite this week. That was a fun time at work. Just don't play with knives when you're at work and make mistakes. It's right in my hands, so I had to get stitched up and drive down to Dynamite this week. That was an adventure. But on the beard side of things, we're doing good, man. We're cruising along. It's the year end. So the year-end awards, the Beardies are coming up, and it's crazy that 2025 is almost over. We've been at it for like 4 years now. Like, the time is flying, man. But we're doing good. JPJ Celtics, not so much though.
His Celtics, they have reason for not doing their best right now.
It's Jaylen Brown's hair.
Well, no, Jaylen Brown's been great for them.
His hair. I think he's stained more jerseys than they have wins.
Why are you making fun of Jaylen Brown's hair? He thinks it's 1989.
Hey, listen, he can think that all he wants. If I had his kind of money, I wouldn't even pay. Why paint it on, man? Anyway,
well, they did beat my Los Angeles Lakers last night with paternity leave, Luka not being there. So
yeah,
they lucked out in that. I mean, Austin Reeves had 36, so keep up the Reeves succession. He was the only one though for the team who was there. LeBron did not play because it was a second of a back-to-back.
Of course, he's are you guys better without LeBron? I think you are.
I don't know. I don't think so. I think that LeBron has his switch on low, and when we get to the playoffs, the switch will come on, and he'll start 20.5 and 5. But I think that we're coming to the end. This is not the retirement tour. Next year is the retirement tour.
Oh yeah. Will he retire a Laker?
I mean, it depends on how much money he wants. If he wants too much money this offseason, I'm sorry, we got to pay Austin Reeves after this season.
That's right.
Austin Reeves is the one who deserves the upgrade.
Austin Reeves is the real MVP.
Okay. Now you're wilding. But thank y'all for joining us live. We appreciate y'all for joining us live. Appreciate y'all for watching us on demand. Remember to show your appreciation back the simplest way possible. Drop the thumbs up on this video. You can also share this video with all your wrestling fans, friends, and family on all your favorite social media platforms. If you are new to the Tru Heel Heat YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell to stay notified for all the great content here. You can also sound off in the live chat. We love to interact with all of you guys. Hear your thoughts on what's going on in the world of wrestling here on the Flagship Podcast. Plus, we got some big news. Tomorrow, we're dropping on our community tab, so stay on alert. If you have your alerts, your notifications up, you'll probably see it on your YouTube timeline. But we'll have our first entry. You can put your entries in for the Tru Heel Heat year-end awards. We're going to start. The ballot is going to be open tomorrow, so you can start voting on that on over there. Match of the year, men's, women's wrestler of the year, Tru Heel of the year, babyface of the year. So you get to vote on it all. So talk about it in the live chat, if you will. Who do you think is going to be your year-end award picks for some of these more notable awards that we're going to go through? And of course, if you're feeling generous, you want to give back to what we do here, you can send a super chat donation. Any dollar amount matters. It goes back to contributors that you see on screen with us here. And we always appreciate the support. We got in the chat our first super chat donation. Thank you so much to Valab. He says, I'm at the point where it's way too early to say anything about the deal. With them saying Max is going to stay for a little while, so at least it's not going to change for AEW under the current deal. Yeah, I think that people who think they know what's going to happen to AEW, or if you're the heel Usos of the world who saying AEW is going to fail because of this whole thing, they don't know what they're talking about. Everyone who's in the know, everyone who knows information within the wrestling circle have been saying the same thing. We don't know anything at this point. We don't know what the future holds. I mean, me, myself, I have my speculation on how I think this is all going to talk about, and we'll talk about it when we get there. But thank you for the super chat donation. But in general, it's a lot of kind of hypothetical talking more than anything about what it means for AEW. And I don't know if people should be worrying about AEW when it means a whole lot more for the movie industry, more than anything.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens with that deal, but we're going to talk about that on today's show, of course. But thank you so much, Valab, for the super chat donation. We also got in the chat here, we got Valab who says Pluggo was just trying to get into sicko mode with the stabbing.
To be fair, I bled more than they did in that holiday death match.
This is true. I mean, Marina did bleed.
Yeah, a little bit, but I thought they'd all match my energy, but nope, it was just me getting super hyped, man. Like, what can I say?
Well, you can't do that much after blood and guts.
So the funniest part about the whole situation was my boss was on his way in for a store visit, and I go, "Hey, what were you coming to visit? Safety assessment." I was like, "Well, I guess we failed today. Sorry." I'm just
did he say that to you? Like yeah, very safe.
He was just like, "Oh man, really?" So yeah, I was getting into sicko mode for sure. Don't play with knives at work, guys. Just be safe. Wear gloves. Cut resistant gloves are key.
We got Zach Vinger, who tells us that it's National Cook for Christmas Day. SB3, Josh, and Pluggo.
Like, so I'm supposed to cook for Christmas today?
Or the 6th. I think he made that shit up. There's no way.
Do I cook it, then freeze it, and thaw it back out on Christmas Day? That one I don't understand, Zach. I love Zach's little dailies.
A little weird. A little weird. Just a little bit. Cook for. Wouldn't it be buy food for Christmas, maybe? Maybe you store the ham now. I don't know.
Get prepared early. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. That's weird. Yeah. Well, you're gonna have to explain that, Zach. We got Eric in the chat who says, "Hey, THH fam, happy Deadline Day. TNA has a new home, and could WWE and AEW be both under the same umbrella if Netflix buys out Time Warner?" The acquisition has been put in. It's been completed. I don't know if it'll, the process, how long that's going to take. We saw with the whole Endeavor making TKO, that took like 8-9 months to complete. So I don't know how long this thing is going to be completed. So we'll see what happens. And I think the process, the whole process is going to take even longer than that.
Yeah. Well, plus like Netflix can't have both shows on their, like, they do that with everything. It's not that the WWE owns Netflix, it's that Netflix has bought rights to Raw. Like, if they wanted to do Dynamite too, I mean, who's to stop? I'm sure WWE would be thrilled, but I mean, Netflix has CBS shows, Fox shows, NBC shows on its platform right now. I think it's more of there's just more content for us. We're taking over the world.
Yeah, I think like the main thing that's going to come from the deal is HBO Max is not going to be around much longer. But yeah, you're going to get to the point where maybe one day, because of this whole acquisition, if they decide to keep on AEW because of their tape library, we could have Netflix having WWE's library and AEW's library.
Oh yeah,
you can watch it all on one app for like $1 million.
Exactly, $1 million a month. Remember when we thought cable prices were out of whack? Remember the good old days? I'm aging myself here a little bit.
I cut the cord a long time ago, so yeah, you are. Oh, we got a couple more comments to feature here. We got follow up saying got a channel that Mox Energy. That's right. Always. I want to channel Mox Energy at commentary, where he can go from analytic, oh, this is what he's trying to do, to drunk father rooting on his son at the football game. Like, come on, let's go. Yo,
rip his fucking head off. I was just like, yeah, get him, Mox. I was so bummed when he left. I was like, stay forever.
Word. I was like, when he left, I was like, what happened to Mox?
He's got to get ready for Takeshita tonight.
Yes. You got to get ready for that matchup. That should be good on Collision tonight. We got the White Mamba enthusiast in the chat. Yes, Hillbilly Kobe, a.k.a. Austin Reeves. Nettie says he's the most consistent Laker. I mean, he's the Laker who's shooting the best right now. So I'll give him that. Yes, Nutty is our enthusiast on when it comes to our caucasity of the week, which is Chrissy Love's version of basically either racism or people who are feeling themselves way too much in wrestling. They have the caucasity in them. But we also got in the chat here, let me see what else. Yeah, it's going to be $100 slab for Netflix. That's where we're heading to, with Netflix having NFL, WWE, all of these different shows. Now they got WBD under house. You're going to have like Batman. They sometimes have like the Into the Spider-Verse stuff and stuff from Marvel. So they're going to have Marvel, DC. Like, they're covering all their bases right now.
It's going to be nuts, man. Oh. I'm going to have to get a second job just to watch TV.
To watch one streaming app. Imagine if you need multiples. Sheesh. We got another super chat donation here from Andrew Brown. Thank you so much, Andrew Brown, for the support. He says the White Mamba is a liquid snake. That's actually pretty clever. I will give you credit for that. That's actually pretty clever. But yes, thank you for the super chat donation, Andrew Brown. Keep coming up with some comments and be a part of the conversation in the chat. Appreciate y'all for joining us early here, because we got a lot to discuss. But before we get into Survivor Series, we got our Tru Heel roll call, where we shout out all of you who's supporting us here on the Tru Heel Heat YouTube channel, as well as our Patreon and across social media. Our Tru Heel Trinity, our top 3 conversation starters on our Tru Heel's Facebook group page. You got Jermaine Packman, you got Joe Bellini, you got Stewie John Palmer. Our Patreon backers, we got Volop, we got Negro Bucknick Jackson, we got Professor Chris, Trey, Robert, Steve, Ladarius, John Martin, Dolores, James, Allen, Santo, Justin Ridge, and Chuck Berries. Thank you so much for supporting us over at patreon.com/Tru Heel Heat. $3 a month gets you exclusive content. The best way to support us when we are not live here, and you'll always be part of our roll call every single week, and you can enjoy our exclusive content over there, like GOAT Match Series, where we dropped a new episode this week. But let's get into what we missed, and we're going to start off with WWE Survivor Series War Games. How does it feel, Josh, to be like me and have to review this show multiple times? Anyway,
thankfully, I only viewed. I only reviewed it once, so I feel.
Well, you're gonna have to talk about it again now, so you're doing it multiple times, like I always have to do. But...
Oh boy. I'll say how I feel. Let's see if these people show up again in the chat, like the review. That was crazy.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. The show featured AJ Lee, Rhea Ripley, Io Sky, Alexa Bliss, and Charlotte Flair, defeating Becky Lynch, Asuka, Kairi Sane, Nia Jax, and Lash Legend in the Women's War Games opener. Then you had, speaking of the women's division, you had Stephanie Vicaire scored a victory over Nikki Bella to retain the WWE Women's World Championship. While in a big title change on the show, it was in John Cena's final premium live event that he suffered the loss to Dominic Mysterio. Dominic Mysterio becoming a two-time Intercontinental Champion, thanks in large part to outside interference from the Judgment Day, as well as the returning Liv Morgan, who reenacted Cena's heel turn from back at Elimination Chamber to betray, I guess, John Cena. I don't know why anybody believed that she was aligning with Cena, but okay. And then in the main event, it was the men's War Games matchup. We saw Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, Logan Paul, Drew McIntyre, and Brock Lesnar beat CM Punk, the Usos, Cody Rhodes, and CM Punk. Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns, to pick up the win after a masked man appeared to deliver a curb stomp to CM Punk to give Braun Breaker the victory. Post-match, Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes had a tense face-off with one another where Roman told Cody he will never team with him again. More on that in a bit, but Pluggo, me and Josh, we said our thoughts on this show on our Survivor Series review. We want to hear from you, sir. What did you think about last Saturday's show, Survivor Series War Games?
To put it nicely, it was not the best War Games match since they've made this switch to War Games that we've had by any stretch. I'm trying. There were some bright spots, but overall, if you're going to dub a P, and this is the Hell in the Cell issue, right? Like, we had a PLE centered around Hell in the Cell matches, and then they didn't hit the same because you're just kind of forcing us to watch these matches. This was a very safe War Games. The shark cages were gone. That threw me for a loop. I hated that. I wanted them back because that was a fun, at least little wrinkle you could cut to the cage and see how the teams were interacting with each other. You got the Roman and Punk spot from a few years ago where he put his hand up and said, "I'm going," or the Tegan Knox turning on, or Dakota Kai turning on Tegan. So that wrinkle was gone, and I was like, oh boy. And there was no sense of urgency from anybody in these two War Games matches. They took their sweet time with their entrances. Jey Uso stopped the match to dance before Brock Lesnar's coming out. I'm like, what are you doing? Brock Lesnar's about to come out and murder all of you. You should probably try to get an advantage here. The EO spot is cool, but how many times are we going to do the trash can spot, right? I kind of, that's her move. That's her thing. She's the master of the War Games. Cool. But even Kofi in the Rumble did a different spot every year. We knew Kofi was going to do something, but it was something different. Now, I'm not asking Io to kill herself, but if we're just going to, if that's what we're centering around, because if you ask what was the biggest takeaway from the women's, Io did the trash can spot. Right? That's probably one or two. Yeah.
That's the best spot of the whole night.
Yeah. You go, Io did the trash can spot. You go, well, that's it. That's all we got from War Games. We're supposed to leave it going, oh my God, what did we just see? It was a massacre in there. And the women's one I thought was slightly better than the men's overall. I liked that Charlotte and Asuka had a 5 minutes, to start us off. So we got that. I did enjoy Becky, talking shit to everybody. And then ultimately them the heels just, running the finisher train on her, and AJ Lee taps her out. Like, I thought that was cool. But at the end of the day, I was like, I wanted a little bit more. Lash looked cool. Like, Lash had a good showing, which was, I think, what we needed. But, yeah, I left that first. I was like, this is what we're in for tonight. Because you also had heard the rumors prior to the show that the men were having trouble figuring out who was coming out when, and egos started to get in the way. So I was like, oh, boy, we're in for something crazy, right? And we did. It never came. It never in the 2 WarGames matches. We were all waiting for something crazy to happen, and it never came. Like I said, I being nice and being positive as I can be. It was not the greatest WarGames showing I've ever seen. Like, tell me, like, what was the best spot of the night? The EO spot. And then out of 2 WarGames matches, you're like, the EO spot. But we've seen the EO spot every year since they've done this. Right?
Yeah. It just doesn't make sense why they went in the direction of having these very tame war games. And it's funny because it felt, we talked about it on the review as well. It really felt like Tony Khan had the best counter programming attempt of the year, and he did his show 2 weeks before this one.
Yeah, I mean, and Blood and Guts is it's the same style, but it's a different entity. Like, and even Blood and Guts will eventually run into a situation where, and it kind of started this year, where it was like they kind of threw some of these teams together, right? There wasn't really like a major driving story this year, but it's still like they still all went all out for that thing. And I'm not asking WWE to kill their performers and give me buckets and buckets of blood, but give me. It just felt like you could have had that 5-on-5 traditional Survivor Series match. Like, there wasn't a lot of weapons. There wasn't a lot of cool, crazy spots. There wasn't a lot of tension. I mean, there was a little tension with
any hatred. There wasn't any hatred in the
moment,
even with like AJ Lee and Becky. Yeah. There was history between Becky and Charlotte, but no hatred. Like, even the Last Legend and Nia Jax, their rivalry with Charlotte and Alexa is so new. There's no hatred there. The Kabuki Warriors and Io Sky and Rhea Ripley, maybe there's tension. There's no hatred there, but like, there's this was the perfect opportunity for WWE to switch it up and do a traditional Survivor Series matchup, because mainly, I said it once, I'll say it 1,000 times, it just felt like a Royal Rumble in a cage. It's people making entrances, having a hot tag moment, and then someone else comes out and breaks it up. That's basically what WarGames always is, but the reason why I said this matchup was set up to fail is because the babyfaces had the advantage. So you're going against the whole reason you do WarGames is for 4 hot tags. 4 hot tags. It's a 2-on-1, one person comes out. It's a 3-on-2, the babyface comes out. It's a 4-on-3, the babyface comes out. It's a 5-on-4, the babyface comes out. When you do it in reverse and then you don't do anything to kind of counterbalance that, like AEW did with the attack on Mark Briscoe, then it's just a bad matchup. To me, the Women's War Games is generally, objectively, the worst Women's War Games they've ever done.
That is fair. And I don't know if it's because the calendar's bad and like you don't want to hurt a bunch of people heading into Mania season. I don't know what it is. I don't know why they thought this was the move. I mean, listen, like San Diego, Petco Park, it was a beautiful place. Like, it looked great on TV. Baseball stadiums are my bag when it comes to wrestling events. Like, I love a good baseball stadium. ESPN, I know everybody was like, the first couple shows on ESPN were they're going to come out swinging, hopefully, and really show why they're here. And if I was a new subscriber who dropped $30 for that thing, I'd be like, I don't know if it was worth my money. And then the other two, like the Cena Dom match was fine. Like, I didn't hate that.
That was fun.
That was fun. There was fun. Cena put over the Judgment Day. That was cool to see Roxanne and Raquel beating up Cena. Liv Morgan came back. Like, there was a lot of cool stuff there. But again, if we're talking about War Games, we're talking about were mainly focused on the War Game side of it, and both of those matches just didn't hit. And then that heel team, which I understand they faced an all-star team, but that heel team was one of the most badass heel teams ever assembled on paper, and they needed a sixth guy to come over and help them out. They couldn't get it done with Brock Lesnar, Drew McIntyre, Bronson Reed, Braun Breaker, and I'm forgetting the fifth guy. I feel bad.
Logan Paul? Did you say
Logan Paul? I mean, notably forgettable. Logan Paul.
Yeah, notably forgettable and not a badass like the rest of his
badass. No, but those four guys alone, they needed some guy to come up and help out, which they never paid that off. They didn't pay it off on Monday. All the tension in the women's War Games match spilled over, and just they did it on Monday. There was there was such a disconnect here, and I don't know if it's because ESPN is not going to say, hey, tune in Monday night on Netflix for Raw, because they don't want to promote you going to, you know what I mean? I don't know what the problem is, but there was a massive issue. And then, yeah, I'm still trying to come up with a good spot that I was like, that was really cool. Because I know when Bronson Reed was doing his tsunamis off the top ropes, I was like, please be safe. Don't go to the top of the cage. Can't have that. Maybe that's why they were like, we got to play it safe because we don't want people busting their ankles up again. And we've already lost Seth Rollins. We can't lose you too again. So,
yeah, because remember last year's men's War Games had two big injuries because Tonga Loa was out for a long time after that men's War Games matchup, and then Bronson Reed was also out. So I understand why they went a little tame on there. It just made for a bad show when. And then you didn't even mention Stephanie Vaquer versus Nikki Bella for good reason, because no one cared. No one cared. They had 40,000 people in the building. All they cared about was the one move meme.
The Devil's Kiss on the table, which I will say this. I will, because you said I'm a positive, and I'll find some. I thought that was the best Nikki Bella match since she's returned.
That's fair.
It wasn't world beat, and I did like the more aggressive style of Stephanie Vaquer after she got screwed over by Nikki. She's like, I'm not gonna waste my time and be nice about it. I'm gonna go do this Devil's Kiss spot on the announce table, which is not something she would traditionally do as a face. But she's, so it wasn't the worst match I've ever seen. I don't think Stephanie Vaquer can have a bad match with really anybody. So. That was the positive. But at that point, you just had the big return. You had that dud of a War Games match. You're sandwiched in between what we all were hoping was going to be a huge moment in the men's War Games match. So everybody was kind of out of it at that point. And then, I think a lot of people were out of it for the men's War Games match too.
Yeah.
You started a war on Twitter about the whole Jimmy spot, and I'm with you.
God.
I'm with you.
It's stupid. It's stupid.
In a War Games match, it's absolutely stupid. It's so dumb.
It is absolutely stupid. And the fact of the matter is that, and God bless Rick Ucchino, God bless him, but he knew what he was doing, and I called him for it. Like, don't do the whataboutism. He's like, what's the genuine question? What's the difference between this and Kenny Omega requesting songs during Anarchy in the Arena? Well, one, they didn't stop fighting during Anarchy in the Arena. You can literally see multiple camera angles of people fighting in the stands while Kenny Omega is requesting the music. So they didn't stop fighting for the music. It was literally, and second, the second big difference is the Anarchy in the Arena is a freaking violence montage. It's a soundtrack with violence. That's what it is. It's a music video with violence. That's what it is. It's about music playing while they give you all this action. That's the other big difference. War Games is something completely different. Kenny Omega didn't stop in Blood and Guts to request any music there. Jey Uso did, and everybody stopped. Literally, Bronson Reed is standing behind him. He has a slump on the ropes. And I have these nincompoops on social media telling me everyone was down. They couldn't win. I don't see an issue. It was fun. The people in the building enjoyed it. And that's why I turned it around. So you defend it. Everything's okay if the people in the building enjoy it. So you're okay with Vince McMahon showing up one day after the Wall Street Journal thing and everybody in the crowd going, yes, thank you, Vince. If Jey Uso, if it's okay, everything's okay, if it's not stupid because Jey Uso and everybody loved it, then Vince McMahon coming out after that bullshit is all right because the fans loved it.
Yeah, no, I mean, in the perception is it's a war games. It's supposed to be violent, like it's like war, right? And even Punk was hitting the guitar with the chair for a hot second, and I'm just like, it would have been cool if he did the spot, called for the music, and Bronson laid him out.
Yes,
like do that, right? Like okay, and then that tells me that this is a serious moment. Now I get it. I suspend my disbelief in wrestling all the time, but in that moment, I'm like, Jay. And then we saw what you did on Monday, where you're like, I can't seem to get these wins, blah blah blah. Like we saw this inner turmoil with you, and obviously something's not clicking. So maybe you focus up in that match, bud. But hey, yeah, it was. Like I said, I don't know. I feel like you asked 15 people to come on and talk Survivor Series, and they're like, I don't want to talk about that. I'm like that. I'm Bronny James. I get those garbage minutes where I go, yeah, I'll come talk about it because there was nothing to talk about outside of Liv returning, which was cool.
Like, yeah, the fact that like freaking 30-second spot was the most talked about thing on the show,
right? And that's
sad.
That's a fundamental problem, and it like if this is what you're giving, and ESPN, like it was cool to get wrestling onto a sports-centric platform where it's sports-based, and it's like this is sports adjacent, right? Like we all in agreement. I think it's a sport, but it's not necessarily a sport, right? But it is athletic competition. Don't get me wrong. If you are on a Saturday night, a non-WWE watcher, and you're like, I'm going to click over to this in the middle of college football. And you're going to go, oh, okay. Like, what is this? And then you're not going to keep watching, but then you have the fans who paid, the people that know what it is all about going, I don't know what that was. Like, everybody across the board was disappointed. Like, I didn't see very many people, like, happy at all. And that usually is not the case. There's usually a contingency of people that are like, oh, no, it was a pretty good show. I think you're just being too critical. Even I was struggling to find dirt in the snowstorm. I'm like, where's it at? Like, what am I leaving Saturday night going, oh yeah, I can't wait to tune in Monday. There was nothing.
It's getting to the point that even like the most positive WWE fans possible are like kind of at that point. Like you got Andreas Hale who did the first ESPN review for the WrestlePalooza. He's kind of like, I'm not really watching the shows like that anymore. And then you had Adrian Hernandez, who went to Survivor Series War Games, who's always the most positive person. He was getting heat on social media because he said, I walked out the building. That's the saddest that's the most in anger I've ever seen fans because of that lame ass post match to the men's War Games. What were they thinking? I think that this was the biggest indication that what they are going for, the fans do not want.
They screwed themselves at the end of that War Games because they did the right thing at the end. They had Braun Breaker pin CM Punk. Awesome. Huge moment for Braun. It sets up what we saw Monday. It's great. And what did they do? They showed them pyro, hold hands, and immediately cut back to Cody and Roman and told us that Cody and Roman is more important than this guy that everybody is telling you is the next guy. It's the guy we want in that spot. He's done the work. He's come a long way. He's become a force. And you went, we're going to do Cody and Roman. We're going to do a Cody and Roman, like we're not teaming together spot. And then immediately the plans for WrestleMania are out there. So you just took it, which Braun did a great job on Monday of like bringing it back to him. But again, it's a PLE. It's the biggest moment. We're supposed to go, okay, that is a huge moment. That guy just pinned CM Punk in a War Games match. He's the youngest guy in this match. He's the up and coming guy. And nope, we're going to talk about Roman and Cody to end the show. I'm like, why do you do that to yourself? We know Cody and Roman are good. At any point, you could flip the switch and sell me a ticket. I need to know more about Braun Breaker if I'm a, lukewarm WWE watcher. Like I was watching the Cena Dom match with one of my son's friend, like my friend's dad, however you want to say. My son's friend's dad came over and he's like, I'll sit and watch this for a little bit. He doesn't know as much as I know. So you want to get that guy hooked. I'm already going to watch. Instead, you're just like, oh yeah, Cena and Cody and Roman. Okay, cool. Cody and Roman 3. All right.
Hey, we've seen it twice before, but hey, it's going to happen.
Which, listen, trilogy, fine, whatever, cool, but like you could heat that up at any time. We didn't have to start the seed there. We could have Braun Breaker, man. Keep it on him. Talk him up. Do something else with him. Like I don't know. I just felt like I left that going, man. They missed another like opportunity here. And then you saw the Freddie Prinze Jr. stuff, I'm sure, where he's like, yeah the people on the inside ain't thrilled. So War Games, man. War Games. There was no war. There was games.
4 games. Josh, 4.25 stars. That is what Dave Meltzer rated the men's War Games. Your thoughts?
I mean, I don't know what he was drinking to that match, but 4.25 stars. I mean, hey, WWE fans, pretty sure are happy about that because, they always complain when he gives 5 stars, when he gives 4.5 stars for certain people. So, they should be happy with this, I guess, right? As far as the show itself, I already said that to me is, I think it's easily their worst PLE this year. WrestlePalooza could have been that, but WrestlePalooza had one great match that was better than any of the matches that was on War Games. And that's the only reason probably that saves that.
That got the same rating as the men's War Games, too. Got the same rating.
Which is insane to me.
Yeah.
This is why I called them out. I've been getting a lot of likes from people I've never seen before when I called out Dave. I was like,
because
it's one thing Dave's going to do. He's going to overrate a WWE main event match at the same time that he simultaneously underrates every women's match he sees from any promotion.
Well, yeah, I think those are more like the anti-Dave people. You say anything negative about Dave, they're like, you know what? He's right. Yeah. You know. Like, yeah, get him, yeah, right. He's on our side.
Then they see the rest of my tweets and like he picked his side. I'm out of here.
Yeah, that's basically what that is. But I mean, it is true. Because that's crazy. 4.5, like that's the same exact thing. When I felt like that other match was way better, no. But as far as the show itself, it's like what we've been saying about WWE this year, man. It's like they do. The driving force for WWE this year has been over promoting, has been moments, right? They care about the moments this year more than like the actual like build-ups, the actual to how we get there, and even the follow-ups. The follow-ups probably have been worse than any of like of that. Just because when you create a big moment, there should be a big follow-up too. And when you just care about the moment, there's no substance. Why should we care about the moments? And that's been one of the biggest issues for WWE for this year. And with this PLE, the women's War Games, I know, what we said, the biggest spot was the trash can spot. And even on the review, I said the same thing. But I also said, like, if that's your biggest spot, to me, that's a problem because she does that every year. So it's like, that's kind of a given, right? We know what she's going to do. That's a given. But anything after that was like, what just happened? Like, what did everybody do? And some of my critiques on that was about, like you said, like what we said, like there was no sense of urgency. It was very fluff when it comes to the women's War Games match. There was no real like blood feud, no real violence in there. Because even the Becky and AJ stuff, it was more goofy than anything. It was very goofy, like Becky holding the door. Like it's funny, but at the same time, I'm like, should you guys be doing this in a War Games match? Even when she's running away from AJ and all this stuff, and then like I said, once Lash got missed in the match was over. Like nothing happened after that for the heels. The match was over. You know, the Cena Dom match was fun. You know, like it was fun for what it was because we kind of know what Dom is at this point. Like, you know, he's gotten better in the ring, but we know like it's more character based. Like we know like his thing is more, you know, it's more about the shits and giggles. It's more about the chicken shit heel tactics, which works. Like it's fun. It's funny. The only problem I had was the main spot was a fucking ref. That was the main problem that I had, where he completely just stopped it. Like he didn't attempt to count because he knew Dom was cheating. But then they did the same exact spot, and then Cena kicked out. So I was like, what was the point of that? What was the point of stopping it where he kicked out in the same spot? And then even like how the match finished, like, you know, like we did say like that was the brightest spot because she basically just reenacted what Cena did, but it worked, right? It worked to their favor. But then the ref gets back and then counts. So I was like, so what was the point anyway? Like you didn't stop that count. What the fuck? Like you got hit. Also, you didn't stop that. Like you decided to do your job now. Like
he went to business for himself. He had to get his TV time.
Right? You see that, right? It was just like, I think for me, like when I do stuff like that, it's more of like, yeah, it's never been done before. But I just don't like the fact that you're trying to insult my intelligence by doing that because I've never done that before. But then yet you're not even consistent after the fact. Like that, I think that was more the bother for me when it comes to the ref and that match. But then you said, you know, like Stephanie and Nikki, that was just, I mean, it was boring. Nikki made less mistakes, which was to her favor. I mean, it was good on that aspect, but I mean, nobody cared, and that was the down part of that match. It was a plunder match and a 4-card match, like, you know, that's the best way to say it. But I do agree with like the overall concept of WarGames in WWE. This year, missing the shark cages that definitely played a factor because I felt like last year's match, right? Last year's match, we said at the men's WarGames match was great. Like the way they did everything was great. Everything was placed out. Some of the best parts in that WarGames match was the moments in the cage. You had Roman and Punk who didn't like each other. When Punk was about to get out, he stopped him, and then you had Sammy come out, right? And then when Roman was about to come out, Punk just pushed him out of the way to get out. Like we had stuff in those cages that it was like, all right, it kind of builds up for the match. It kind of like makes it interesting. So when you kind of take that away, maybe, I don't know, maybe they didn't want Brock behind bars. I don't know.
Maybe I was thinking about it because unless they decided to design a bigger shark cage, that's a lot of meat in them cages, and I can imagine Brock Lesnar being like, nah, I'm not sitting in here with these guys for 30 minutes. Like I can just envision it being like
he's like, no, I'm not standing in here with Bronson Reed.
No. There's not enough room. I can see I saw all the people like, well, it's because of the setup. It was the layout of the show. It's like they had
enough room.
They had enough room. Stop. Like, I need wrestling fans to stop using the excuses that WWE gives us, because 9 times out of 10, you are just repeating bullshit.
Because Triple H, I don't know if you guys watched the pre-show at all. I did watch it. I had it on in the background while I was getting ready for everything. Triple H did say, yeah, we had a few issues trying to figure out how to logistically do the ballpark. Like the guys and girls tonight are coming out of the dugout. Like he already kind of planted a seed that it was like a logistical issue. And I was like, come on. You just move a couple rows of them seats, my guy, and you can put a couple cages there. But hey, what do I know?
Can't miss out on $40,000, sir. Those 4 extra seats.
That's true. $40,000 for that giant head sign that guy had of himself.
Exactly.
If I ever show up to a WWE event and make a giant sign of just my face, please don't invite me back.
I will hold you to that.
But I'd rather hold your head up, SP3, than mine. Like.
Let's talk about the big ending that they did and what that means for what they're going to do at WrestleMania next year. As coming off the heels of Survivor Series, Dave Meltzer of Wrestling Observer Radio reported that plans for WrestleMania 42 were for the 2 world title matches for the men will be Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes for the undisputed WWE Championship, and CM Punk versus Braun Breaker for the World Heavyweight Championship. With rumblings that the current plan is to run those two matches at Mania. The reported reason for these matchups is due to a push from none other than the tribal chief, Roman Reigns. Per Ebu of Self-Made Pro, the previous plan was for Roman to face Braun Breaker at WrestleMania 42, and Rhodes would have faced Punk. That was the plan as of November. But Reigns then pushed for the Cody match, which in turn led to the tentative plan for Mania being Breaker squaring off against CM Punk for the World Heavyweight Championship. Before that, the original plan was for Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins at next year's Showcase of the Immortals, with the vision to then turn on Seth after WrestleMania 42, setting up Reigns versus Braun Breaker for a match at SummerSlam 2026. Those plans went out the window after Rollins' crown jewel injury, which brought forward the Visionary's exit from the Vision. Ebu also referred to Roman Reigns as the most potent backstage political force that is an active talent since Hollywood Hogan, and noted how Roman's creative process goes through Paul Heyman. Likewise, there was a mention of plans at one point for Sami Zayn to win next year's Royal Rumble in Saudi Arabia and face Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania 42. Though the return of Roman saw that nixed, and Sami was then moved over to SmackDown. On the flip side, it was suggested that Zayn may have been promised a big world title win at WrestleMania 43, which, like the 2026 Royal Rumble, takes place from Saudi Arabia. So how Ebu explained it, the timeline goes, after WrestleMania 42, the plan was Roman and Brock at WrestleMania. After WrestleMania 41 this year, the plan was Roman and Braun Breaker at WrestleMania 42, which they pretty much laid out on the Raw after WrestleMania, and the fact that we never got this matchup throughout the whole year. But sometime in the summer, Ebu says Roman decided that he's not going full-time to Hollywood, that he wants to come back to WWE full-time, and he wants to be champion again. So that is when the plan was Roman versus Seth at WrestleMania 42, with Cody versus CM Punk as the other title match. But then Rollins got injured, and thus we had the report that I just mentioned and how those plans came about. According to the Wrestling Observer newsletter, the banter between Rhodes and Reigns at the end of Survivor Series was intentional storytelling meant to hint at a future title showdown. However, Mania plans remain open and could shift as creative discussions continue. Dave Meltzer reports that WWE has internally locked in Rhodes versus Reigns for WrestleMania 42. Several early scenarios for WrestleMania 42 are being explored, he said. One option reportedly features Reigns versus CM Punk, with Rhodes potentially facing a different opponent. WWE is considering Seth Rollins versus Braun Breaker if Rollins recovers from his shoulder injury before the event, since Rollins has spoken about competing at WrestleMania in some capacity. The report affirms that the WrestleMania card is far from finalized. WWE typically adjusts long-term plans based on injury timelines, live reactions, and strategic factors tied to broadcast partners. While Rhodes versus Reigns 3 is set to happen at some point in 2026, it's too early to determine if it can happen at Mania. According to Meltzer, the match may be scheduled for another major show rather than WrestleMania. So Dave Meltzer trying to kind of cull the rumors that Roman Reigns has made the plans for WrestleMania. But what do you think, Pluggo? What do you think about the assertion that Roman Reigns is the biggest political force in pro wrestling since Hollywood Hogan was an active talent, and the fact that he may have potentially put the snag on WrestleMania plans for Sami Zayn, Seth Rollins, CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, and Braun Breaker in one fell swoop?
I mean, if that is true, that is wild to me. Because Triple H doesn't seem like the type of guy that would put up with that kind of stuff, right? So like in the sense, but it is Roman Reigns. He's the biggest star in the company, and he's been the biggest star in the company. But as I listened to that report, the thing that stuck out to me the most is that Braun Breaker's getting his CM Punk World Title shot on January 5th. So that means he's losing. That's true. So he's definitely taking his first L, and then we're going to figure out a way to shoehorn it to WrestleMania instead of just striking while the iron's hot. But, oh, man, like, I get it. He's the biggest star. But if he is the biggest backstage political guy, he doesn't come off that way to me. But, again, I'm not on the inside. I don't know.
What?
I don't know the... Tribal chief in character, but I don't know what he's like outside of. Is he not a nice guy behind the scenes?
Wait, come, okay. So we got to get this straight.
All right, let's get it.
When I hear backstage politician, I don't think that person is a bad person. No. I feel that person is a big star that knows how to work for their position. I think of it as a positive term. I think that like the assertion that, oh, he's a backstage politician, it means he's a bad person. You could be a great person, but if you're not a backstage politician, Roman Reigns would not be where he is today.
But you also
like, that is how it works.
Hulk Hogan.
That is how it works. Like, I'm not champion Hulk Hogan. You can be a backstage politician and be a bad person as well.
So which one is he? I don't know. Yeah, maybe he's a good guy. I don't know.
No, he seems like a good guy, but you have to be a backstage politician to be a top star. That's how it works. You have to be able to talk for your case and get yourself in a position to be in main events, to be on the posters, to be getting a raise, to make the most money possible. Like, that is how it works. And Roman Reigns, this has been known for several years, Pluggo, like that Roman Reigns has been politicking. And if he's not politicking, Paul Heyman is politicking for him. Like, that's why Paul Heyman now has a position so close to Triple H within creative because of the success of the bloodline. Everybody wants there was a certain amount of WWE fans that want to give Triple H credit for the bloodline, which I think is stupid because he doesn't deserve any credit. Sure. He was grandfathered a storyline that was created under Vince McMahon, but as he took over, it became very clear who was really booking the storyline. It's Paul Heyman and Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns controls everything that he does, but I just find it funny because he is literally, and the comparison of him being the biggest backstage politician since Hulk Hogan, because this is exactly what Hogan did back in like the early 90s.
Oh, yeah.
He said he was going to Hollywood and then said, nah, you know what? I want to come back. I want to win the title. And then he won the title. Like, I have no
for
doubt.
Roman, is that because the movie roles aren't flooding in like he thought? The wrong Missy cameos aren't.
Well, what was his in to Hollywood, Pluggo?
The Rock, man, and I don't know.
And what happened to The Rock in Hollywood, Pluggo, in DCEU? Like, he burned all his fucking bridges. So the movie roles that was supposed to be pouring in for good old Joe, it's not pouring in because Dwayne messed it up for him. Like, that is how this works. Everything about this report, I can conceivably see it all happening, and now it makes all the sense of the world what happened to Sami Zayn, because yes, after WrestleMania we have Romeo on this channel who was saying to the hills, anyone who will listen, he was like, Sami Zayn's winning the Royal Rumble in January, he's gonna win in Saudi Arabia, he's going to WrestleMania. That was when he was saying this, when it was supposed to be in New Orleans next year, and he's like, he's gonna go to New Orleans and they're gonna redo the Bryan Danielson whole underdog babyface winning the title at Mania. He was so adamant about it, and all the signs were there on TV. They started that whole storyline with Sammy and the Vision. He was like one of the lead baby faces feuding with them at the time, and then out of nowhere in the summer, they just switch him over to SmackDown, and he wins the U.S. title.
Yep.
Like, that booking needed to be explained, and this is the explanation. Roman in the summer, that is when he said, you know what, I'm coming back. Roman and Seth was netting the plan, and it became clear on TV that was going to be the plan because they were saving that matchup as well. And then we got in this situation. But I say all of that to say, no one wants to see Roman and Cody at next year's WrestleMania. I have spoken to multiple people who have, like, I'm like, okay.
So he's a great politician, but bad policies.
He's not good at creative. Like he's not, he's a good politician for himself, get himself in the biggest match possible. But he made the wrong choice. The hotter matchup, the bigger money matchup for him is CM Punk. It's obvious.
Yeah.
Like
Or even him and Breaker would have been good too.
No,
not at Mania, but
Pluggo, you have to think about it from Roman Reigns' perspective. Roman Reigns, like I think that you're thinking about it from our perspective as fans. You have to think about it from Roman Reigns' perspective. Why would Roman Reigns want to face a guy who's never won anything? He's making a new guy. He's like, I already did that. Jey Uso. What are you talking about? Jey Uso. I gave you a new main event guy. What are you talking about?
Yeah, he's not in the business of making stars. Yeah,
you want me to face Braun Breaker? How about I face Jacob Fatu? Oh, you want me to face Braun Breaker? How about I face Solo Sikoa? Like he knows the people that he wants to make. It's not Braun Breaker. So
he's not the bloodline. He ain't the family tree.
That's another family.
No matter how tan Braun Breaker gets, he's not going to be in the family tree.
Hey, he's my favorite YN. But Josh, what do you think about Roman Reigns being the biggest backstage politician since Hollywood Hogan, and him potentially changing the plans for WrestleMania to him and Cody next year?
To me, I'm more surprised. Well, Punk is not the biggest politician anymore. I guess. But
I think Punk's just having checks these days.
So he says.
Punk's trying to burn those bridges. Like, he knows he's definitely politicking, but he's not bigger than Roman. Roman is number one.
Yeah. I mean, as far as it goes, like we've been saying for a long time in the wrestling business, sometimes you need an ego. Sometimes you need to be at where you're at. Roman is at that point, that he's the biggest star in the company, and if they want certain things done to make him happy, or they want him to stay longer, because remind you, this is the same guy that said he plans to leave wrestling after like the next year and a half. So you're gonna try to find every way to keep him longer, just not that shelf. So you're gonna find ways to try to keep him and make him happy. So I think this is one way to make him happy, but I do agree that, even when we were speaking of the review, Punk and Roman is more interesting. There's a better story there. It's more intriguing, but then also these guys never went one-on-one. And I think this is more match people want to see, that even if the World Heavyweight Championship is involved, I mean, you're making, you could put another accolade for Roman. You could have another thing for Roman to brag about. So I don't think it will be the worst thing. Obviously, I think Roman wants a certain title, and I think the title that Cody has, which, we've been saying, like Cody and Roman, they haven't had a bad match, at least, right? The first two matches have been great. So it's not that it's a bad matchup. It's just that it's something that we've already seen, but at the same time, it's like, what else more do we need these two to see that we haven't seen already? Because we had to build up, from 39, right, leading to that. They had the back and forth promos, and then WrestleMania 40, we had the whole thing that happened with The Rock. The Rock got involved. You're not going to top that. You're not going to top any of that. You know what I mean? Like what you did with The Rock and him getting involved and how everything laid out. Nothing, anything from that is not going to be better than what they try to do now from that. And as far as Punk and Roman, again, it's something that we haven't seen one-on-one. I think there's a better story there. But, I mean, I prefer that. I prefer Punk and Roman, but if that's the direction they're going to go, it also, as much as we've wanted them to push their young stars, at least Braun would get an opportunity facing Punk, when it comes to that. But I just don't know if this is the spot that you do it in. I thought they should have done it sooner, in my opinion, for Braun. I thought they should have, at least me, my book, I would have booked them to when they were doing the whole thing, but when Punk won the title, I would have had Braun won the title at that time. But that's just me. But I don't know. Me personally, I prefer Punk versus Roman. But this is what Roman wants. Roman's most likely gonna get it.
He gets what he wants. Dion says Austin, Triple H, Cena was a backstage politician. All type guys usually are. Rock was a little more selfless than those other guys. But even Rock had examples of during his first run, certain things that he wouldn't do or he told them he wouldn't do. Like do a matchup with Shawn Michaels. He was like, no, I'm not going to work with him. He disrespected my grandma. I'm not going to work with him. Then he had that reputation, like you said, of being more selfless than the other top guys. And then he came back in 2011 and was one of those politicians. He was one of those politicians. And now today, he's still one of those politicians. So every top guy in history has been a politician.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, it happens. Sometimes you have to be, like I said, in the rest
all I'm going to say is this story better be bonkers, man. Like, I don't know what you're going to do. You've done it all. Like, the only thing they got left is a one-on-one with no outside interference. And I don't want to hear about Dusty and the Samoan family because we've already done that. You got to come up with something new to talk about.
And that's the sad part. That's the sad part. They're going to keep bringing that up.
The hook for the matchup is that it's one-on-one. Who's the better man? Blah, blah, blah. That's the hook for the matchup if it's babyface versus babyface. But I said on the review, I will say it here. It should not be babyface versus babyface. Cody should turn heel. That's the only way they will be able to fully commit to making this a very good build to this matchup. Because if it's babyface versus babyface, they're just going to play one of their 3 plays that they know how to play when it's babyface versus babyface, which is coexisting partners, which is freaking one guy is actually the heel and we're just saying it's babyface versus babyface, or one of these guys is going to turn heel at the event, which makes it great for the match, but the build fucking sucks because you didn't do it during the build. So that's the 3 plays that they usually play for babyface versus babyface matchups. I hope someone records this so I can be right when they do one of these fucking 3 plays.
Yo, they did that with Bianca and Sasha. Remember, they were a tag team, and then that's exactly what they did. I don't want them to do that.
Cena and Shawn Michaels, rocking Austin. Like throughout history, they only know 3 fucking plays. The only one that's the different is Hulk Hogan versus Ultimate Warrior because there wasn't weekly television.
And I mean, like, you see that alone. It's like, oh, you see, that sounds like shit.
Paul and Roman better be in their bag for this run to 42, man. These better be in their bag. The people are gonna be so mad. I spent $10,000 on this.
I spent $10,000 on what I saw a couple of years ago. I do hope that Dion is right. He says I think it'll end up as Punk, Roman, Cody, or in Seth Breaker, just because they're doing Breaker Punk on Raw. It makes sense. I hope you're right, but I see them just doing what Roman wants. Honestly,
plus on top of it, TKO's in the business of selling tickets, and they know that Cody Roman 3. They can hype that up. It's like they're not doing things right now that are like for the fans. They're doing things going, I'm trying to sell these tickets, and these are the marquee guys. And for better or worse, we haven't built any new guys, so we're going to lean on these 4. And what's the 4 best marquee matches we can get out of this group? And that's what it comes down to. It's just about what we can put on Allegiant Stadium's, marquee there.
You're right.
And it's not, for better or worse, it is what it is. That's the era we're in right now. It's the money-making era. It's not the star-making era.
Thank you for the super chat donation, Alexander Fitzgerald, who says, heard Netflix is going to purchase THH Wrestling. I'll take the money. Like, funny enough, this makes me bring up what Josh was mentioning earlier. When we were doing the Survivor Series WarGames review, Pluggo, we got accused of being paid by Tony Khan to say bad things about when literally, Pluggo, last week on our podcast here, our main topic was that AEW has a too many titles problem. We literally were criticizing AEW
Listen.
on the day before, but because we criticized WWE about Survivor Series, we were paid by Tony Khan.
I realized I knew I'd made it in this industry when I got accused of oh, you must be working for TK or something. I'm like, yeah, no. I wish. That'd be great. I'd happily take that money. But
I was like, we would happily take the money and badmouth WWE all the time.
Yes, of course. But at the end of the day, there's problems with both companies. It's not a this or that. There's issues across the board. I just think people are so funny when you're. Tell me right now, like, what about the WWE right now makes you go, I'm so invested? Because it just, like I said, it feels like it's a money grab situation because they spent so much money on all these things that they're just like, we got to recoup this. Because it's like we're just all the ads, all the commercials, all of this repetitive booking where you're like, these are our guys. It's not TK's not paying me, but if he wanted to, I'll take it. Listen, I'm not too proud to take some money. I ain't gonna lie. In this economy, I'll shit talk anybody for the right price. I'll shit talk Mama Pluggo for the right price. Just kidding. I love you, Mom.
We got another super chat donation here from Andrew Brown. Thank you so much, Andrew Brown, for the support. He says the problem with WWE PLEs is that unlike NXT takeovers, there are no killer matches. If there were killer matches, it would be better. 1000%. I said this last year when me and Josh were reviewing all the WWE shows, is that Triple H is booking these shows like NXT takeovers without the banger matches.
No substance.
That's insane. You're doing a 4-match PLE, but Stephanie McCare and Nikki Bella is a fucking filler buffer match. That makes no sense. You have 4 matches and you can't give us 4 quality pay-per-view PLE matches on the show? This is the issue that in general, like I had a long conversation with Phil Lindsay after yesterday's ROH review where I was talking about the real issue with Triple H is that he is complacent. WWE makes all the money in the world. He's complacent. He doesn't want to be very creative, or he doesn't have the passion or motivation to be creative because they make him all these wazoo's money. AEW is never going to really catch them in that regard. So he can be good and he can just ride out on the most bare minimum style of wrestling where it's all sizzle, no steak. You're all building to the next moment, but all the moments, it's a law of diminishing returns because if every moment is supposed to feel like the same thing, it's not. It's impossible to do. And that's his issue. And the PLEs is just a microcosm of that, where he is just lazy. He's given 4 matches. He doesn't care about all of them. All of them are not built well. You don't want to really see all of them. Thus, the PLEs lose their value. And thus, we have the whole story we're going to talk about with Freddie Prinze Jr. here.
Well, that, and none of the fans, like none of the hardcore WWE fans ever call him on it. You know what I mean?
No,
they're all like, they make the excuses for him instead of like, if the fans finally started going like this wasn't vibing, then maybe it would change. But
I see that. I see it a lot all the time, especially when they, when they try so hard to like critique it, but then they also say, oh no, like this. I'm not saying this is the greatest pay-per-view, but this is not bad. It's like, no, it was bad. Like, just say it was bad. It's okay to say that it's bad. You want them to get better, so if you criticize it, and there are just enough voices that maybe they get better creatively. But, it's just with a guy like Triple H. He wants all the praise, but none of the backlash, apparently.
Speaking of backlash, coming up, that paper.
We're gonna promote that. Volop, don't tell us that Stranger Things season seems ass if you didn't watch it. Because Pie Driver Finisher watched it and he says he enjoyed it. So don't ruin my experience that I didn't watch it yet by telling me that it seems ass based on a couple of reviews you saw. Please don't do that. Give me your opinion. What did you think about this season of Stranger Things? Sorry for that interlude, but I had to. Let's talk about the mystery man real quick before we get into that Freddie Prinze Jr. story, because that was one of the bigger news notes from Survivor Series. While initial reports claim that Austin Theory portrayed the mass attacker at WWE Survivor Series WarGames, the final on-screen reveal may not confirm him as the culprit. The Wrestling Observer newsletter reports that WWE's creative direction may shift since the event, leaving the storyline open for another identity to be revealed later. According to Dave Meltzer, Paul Heyman initially pushed for Theory to join the Vision as someone to take pins instead of Braun Breaker or Bronson Reed. Theory was reportedly penciled in for the heel WarGames team until Jacob Fatu's injury altered several creative plans. He noted that the injury required WWE to accelerate the Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre feud by 1 month. Both men entered the WarGames matchup sooner than expected, replacing the original planned showdown for a later event. With Rhodes and McIntyre now involved, WWE determined that McIntyre fit the fifth heel slot more than Theory. As a result, Theory would have appeared only as the mass attacker rather than as an announced WarGames team member. It was previously reported that Theory was the masked man at Survivor Series per PW Insider. However, the Observer has noted that WWE can still change the storyline explanation before unmasking occurs on television. Chris Jericho was specifically mentioned as a possible reveal if creative plans were dragged until January. If that happens, Meltzer claimed it would immediately get him into a top position. That would be freaking hilarious. If Chris Jericho is revealed as the newest member of the Vision, WWE has officially jumped the shark. Like, some people say it's jumped the shark already, but no, we have officially jumped the shark. If Chris Jericho, you want people to believe that Chris Jericho is the guy that leaped onto a cage at 52 years old and did all of, come on, man. Like, get out of here with that. Just let it be Theory. Give Theory a chance. This is like a make or break opportunity for Theory. This is like his last chance to do something with his career. Just give him the goddamn chance. What do you think, Pluggo? What do you think about the mask?
Are you telling me? Are you telling me, SP3, you don't want to see the Jericho Vortex in WWE?
I am telling you that
you're telling me you don't want Chris Jericho
is a lot more valuable of a free agent signing if he goes to TNA than WWE.
Wait, stop me if you've heard this one before. Chris Jericho attaches himself to storyline that's already going on, and then
it sounds like Triple H as well.
Yes. I'm with you. I think, like, give it to Theory, let him have the chance. Like, they obviously see something in the guy that they've kept him for this long because they're not doing anything with him, and they've tried and started and stopped. And here's a way to kind of interject him into a storyline where he doesn't have to be the focal point and he could grow from it. But the Jericho thing is funny because, yeah, that guy scaled that cage so quick. And then that was impressive in itself. So you can't go the Jericho. And if you are signing Chris Jericho, it's gonna be the big pop at the Saturday Night's Main Event in Montreal, all that kind of stuff. You're gonna do it there. You're gonna do it at the Rumble. You're gonna make it a big spectacle. He's not gonna be because I think that would be a little disappointing if it's like, he's in the Vision. Oh, okay. What's with the Vision? Like, they just add Logan Paul, they add Chris Jericho, they just add guys that nobody likes to something that they didn't need to add to. They had an opportunity to pivot off of it a little bit and make Braun the focal point, but maybe I'm just a Braun guy now. I don't know.
I'm with you. I'm a Braun guy too. I've been saying he shouldn't have been the fifth wheel in the WarGames.
I've championed him a lot tonight, this morning, whenever you're listening to this. But yeah, I don't know. Because the thing is, if it doesn't pan out with Austin Theory in this Vision spot, one, then we know that there's nothing there. But two, it's easily write-offable. Like, right? Like, you just didn't work out. We just beat you. We just beat you down. We kicked you out. Like, it's no harm, no foul. It's not Jericho though.
Yeah,
that would be
you could present this as Austin Theory trying to basically join, basically pledge for the Vision by helping them win the WarGames, and then put in the work. But I agree with Paul Heyman. This group needs someone to take the pins because Breaker and Reed are not going to take the pins, so someone needs to, and it ain't going to be Logan Paul since he's an official member of the Vision. Where you at, Danny? You didn't show up on the Raw review. We have a guy in the chat who was swearing up and down that Logan Paul wasn't part of the Vision. No, he did show up on the Raw review. He did admit that he was wrong, but I had to say that on this show as well. But yeah, Logan Paul is part of the Vision as well, and he's not going to take pins, so you need Theory. So we'll see what happens with the Theory and the Masked Man reveal. But let's get into that story you mentioned earlier about Freddie Prinze Jr. talking about ESPN not liking their deal with WWE. Is there trouble in paradise between WWE and the premium live event partner ESPN? According to actor and former WWE writer Freddie Prinze Jr., ESPN officials aren't happy with the WWE partnership. During the latest edition of the Wrestling with Freddie podcast, Prince revealed that a friend at ESPN's parent company, Disney, informed him that ESPN isn't happy about the deal with WWE. Ahead of last weekend's WWE Survivor Series WarGames, Prince previewed the event, which he brought up then ESPN holding the event. He says it's his, he talks about John Cena and says this is final pay-per-view on ESPN. And then he said, ESPN, by the way, so unhappy with the deal. The actor continued, I was talking to a friend of mine who works for Disney, and he was just like, yo, they better make their money back on this deal. He just said they're hot. The WWE and ESPN partnership kicked off in September with the inaugural WrestlePalooza event. ESPN is now the streaming home of WWE PLEs in the United States, while Netflix streaming the events internationally. It was originally reported the deal is valued at $325 million annually, or $1.6 billion overall for 5 years. The deal was originally expected to begin in 2026. NBC Universal's Peacock reportedly gave approval for the early launch, with the deal brokered by WWE, Peacock, and the Disney-owned ESPN. Per The Hollywood Reporter, WWE fulfilled its obligations to Peacock early by splitting WrestleMania and SummerSlam into 2-night events each. Fightful Select has since reached out to sources at ESPN and WWE to respond to the comments. According to Fightful, a rep with ESPN claimed that they haven't heard that type of chatter. And the rep said that ESPN has enjoyed working with WWE. When asked sources in WWE for comment, a higher-up reportedly stated, no one in WWE upper management is aware of Freddie Prinze Jr.'s role in wrestling or otherwise. They basically said, you don't go here. That did not answer the question. WWE owns for that. Now Dave Meltzer adds context in the Wrestling Observer newsletter. He noted that the numbers never added up and that they should have expected it to be a loss leader, ESPN, when it came to the WWE deal. He said, look, there was no way possible they would be making back their money on the deal. Anyone who couldn't see that couldn't do basic math. Not only that, but Dave Meltzer also says they lost money for Peacock as well, noting that it was simply meant to draw attention to the brand. They used it to draw attention to the service while they were building it and lost money, not just because of WWE, but partly so. And it's not just a WWE problem, it's a TKO problem, as Meltzer claims that both WWE and UFC are brands with rights that are impossible to break even on, but perceived to be worth it for name recognition and branding. If streamers hope to make a profit from them, though, they might want to break out a calculator first. Also of note, it was discovered that specific WWE library content will be removed from Peacock at the end of this month. During Wrestling Observer Radio, Meltzer talked about that as well, saying the WWE library is leaving Peacock at the end of the month, and he noted that what will happen to the WWE library in the United States is up in the air. However, Meltzer reported that ESPN is interested in some of the library content. It's unknown how much of the library that ESPN will require or utilize on his streaming service, but Meltzer noted that while Netflix still has the international rights for the library, there's still a great deal of content that Netflix hasn't put up as of yet. So we'll go to Josh first. what do you think about Freddie Prinze Jr.'s comments on this ESPN deal being not good on ESPN side, and then Meltzer confirming that it's going to be a loss leader for ESPN with this deal, which is not that far off from what we were saying when this deal was first announced, because we were like, these numbers are ridiculous.
Yeah. As for Freddie Prinze, he is in the entertainment business, so I kind of tend to believe him that if that's true. Obviously they're not going to come out publicly and say like they're unhappy, especially this soon into the deal. The only people who've actually openly done that is Fox. When Fox took the SmackDown deal, Fox right away were not happy with the what they were getting back. And made it clear, like, yeah, we regret this deal, to the point that, when they left, you saw the way that they left. They were happy for them to be gone. So I do believe Freddie Prinze. This is also something that he's just not gonna openly make up or say. Just because there are times where he has spoken about WWE, especially since he's worked there before, previously. So I just don't think, at least knowing his background, knowing what he's been about, I don't see him doing something like this just for clicks or shits and giggles. I don't see him doing that. So I do believe that. And as far as what Dave was saying, I mean, Dave is right about that, because I think from what I saw last time, I think ESPN, within the first year, they're estimated to make about $30 to $40 million off the deal. That's not a good number if that's the case. Like, if that's your profit number of, hey, we gave you over $300 million and we're getting back $40 million. Your math ain't mathing if you think that's a great deal. But we all knew, like, anybody who's like, who's done research on, like, when it comes to deals and how it works, realistically, when a company gives you money, they're expected to make that back or even make more of that. And if you're not going to come close to that, then that's a failed deal. So for ESPN to give over $300 million to WWE, I personally don't know what they were expecting. Obviously, TKO did their part of overselling WWE, right, in their negotiations, and they're like, you know what, we'll take it. That's ESPN's fault for doing that. So as far as ESPN, do I feel bad about that aspect? No, because it's like, you should have probably done more. You should have probably looked into it more, instead of just like, oh, you know what, WWE is hot right now, let's cash in on it, when you got WWE probably at its worst point right now. So, I just don't see them making that money back.
Yeah, it just made more sense for them to go to Netflix, where I think Netflix would have had a better evaluation than ESPN. But Pluggo, what do you think about Freddie's comments with ESPN being unhappy with the WWE ESPN deal, and Dave Meltzer giving us a clearer evaluation of it being a definite loss leader for ESPN?
So what was that RJ City clip at the top of your show where it's like, wrestling is a very niche sport? We as wrestling fans, we think that we know what it is, but so like ESPN is starting to figure it out. Fox figured it out. It's a very niche market to get into. There is a ceiling on it. When I see these numbers getting thrown around, I'm just like, they billion with a B, you know what I mean? Like, I have to double take and go with a B for, like, and I love professional wrestling. It's my favorite thing that I do when I'm not doing anything else. Like, I just watch wrestling, but I know this is a tough sell. Like I talked earlier, it's a tough sell for an average person to like get into. How many times has the three of us been, out in the wild just talking to people and they're like, oh, wrestling, you mean that fake stuff? You mean that Hulk Hogan? He still wrestles, right? Like, it's tough to get these people into it. And I understand ESPN was like, we're launching this app. We need all the eyes that we can get, because asking people to spend $30 a month just for ESPN is tough enough. So you're like, well, let me throw WWE in the mix. You got the UFC. There's no way you're making this money back, because I think after WrestlePalooza, they didn't get as many the subscriptions as they thought that they were going to get. Because I can tell you, I was at WrestlePalooza and I did the whole, like, they had like a Fan Fest day during like the beginning of it, and they had a line like, if you signed up for the ESPN app, you got a free T-shirt. I was like, I'm already signed up. I can't sign up anymore. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
If you're already signed up, you're signed up. It's tough to sell. It's a tough sell. Wrestling is a tough. I'm surprised at the numbers, but don't get me wrong. It's a brand. It's WWE is a driving force in the world. Like, it's a top recognizable brand, and I thought they were going to get that. They're not getting it. And the other thing, they write these shows, right? Like, they write these shows. They could write whatever they want, but getting people to buy into it is tough. And right now they're just playing it safe. And if I'm ESPN, I might look at it and go, because I saw a bunch of people even for Survivor Series still not understanding how to watch the show. They're like, I don't have the right tier of ESPN. Is there an unlimited? Like, if I have YouTube, am I still getting it? Like, they're still not very clear on the WWE side of it how to watch it. And again, if that's all you're watching, that's the thing too. Wrestling fans are paying for the service to just get one show a month. It's like, if you don't care about the NBA, if you don't care about college football, if you don't care about the NFL, you don't need the rest of it. So it's it's just messy. And if they got the network, the network, the library from Peacock, and put it on ESPN, maybe you get a few more people that want to watch old WCW or old NWA stuff or things like that. But right now, like, man, don't we all miss the WWE network? I miss the WWE network. I used to have that thing on.
People never appreciated it enough.
Oh, dude, I used to leave that thing on all day, and then when they switched over to Peacock, I could tell you how hard it is for me to dive into old stuff on Peacock, like, because they broke it up into seasons and this and that. It's like,
so confusing.
The network was so beautiful. It was perfect. Bring me back, man. But yeah,
Bring me back. I'll take going back to the network era.
Yeah, give me the network. I know that. We had it too good, and we were all complaining.
You know, I mean, and it's true. Like, when it comes to wrestling itself, when you're just selling it to wrestling fans in general, it's really hard to invest to anything else. You know what I mean? Like, for example, like the whole ESPN thing, right? It's like, oh yeah, you got this ESPN app, you go watch all these sports, you can watch all this stuff. So a wrestling fan, they don't care about that. There's a lot of wrestling fans who only watch wrestling, so they're not gonna pay for that, especially $30. Like, you know, that's a lot of money for something that, if you already have Netflix, if you already have Disney, if you already have like even like Hulu, that's a pretty thing to sell. But even with the app itself, like, I had issues with it myself, because like we have a Verizon account, but then it was like, oh no, you need a cable provider, right? Oh no, but if you have this ESPN package in that, you still get it, right? So then when we tried it again, it still said, oh, you got about, like, they're still trying to push for you to pay. So to me, all that was BS, because they're still trying to find ways for you to pay. That turned a lot of people. That turned me off, and I'm just like, I ain't paying no $30 no matter what. You could try to do all these hoops, all these things to me. You ain't getting my $30. I don't give a fuck, because I'm not paying for that.
And also, on a personal note, I don't appreciate the WWE slandering the great name that is Freddie Prinze Jr. Just wanted to throw.
Well, you know,
they know who he is.
Them saying we don't know his role in wrestling was so petty, because it did not answer the question of is his comments actually right. They just said we don't know.
Freddie Prinze Jr.
He doesn't go here.
Made She's All That. That's all you need to know. Go. Legend.
He does not go here. We don't know where he goes. That's basically how they answered that. Pluggo, we want to thank you so much for joining us today. We always love hearing from you with the energy that you bring, the big smile and the big beard. So let the people know where they can see that beautiful beard every Thursday, as well as any of the other content that you do. The floor is yours, good sir.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't have the best beard on Between Two Beards. You want to see the best beard, come Thursday nights, 8 p.m. at Love Wrestling. Me and JPJ do a show called Between Two Beards. December is going to be a packed month, so you want to go to @B2Beards on all socials to keep up with what we got going on, because the schedule is not great to us with the holiday, but we're going to make it work. Today, I will be back over on Love Wrestling CA for 4 Exposure at 4 p.m. with my good friend Blair Pacheco as we talk about independent wrestling, the GCW show from last night, the upcoming GCW shows this weekend. That'll be at 4 p.m. Then I'll be back to an NXT Deadline with Ella J. Talking to her. We'll be watching along because this week we've got some stuff going on in Love Wrestling. So me and her are going to watch along to NXT Deadline. And then just follow me at Pluggo on all social media platforms. You'll see there. You'll see where I'm popping up. You never know when I'm going to pop up. So just go ahead and give me a follow. Give everybody at Love Wrestling a follow. And again, thanks for having me, SP3. It's always a pleasure to hang out with you and do the thing.
Always a pleasure having you, and definitely need to come back to Between Two Beards and hang out with you guys again.
We'll definitely make it happen.
Thank you, good brother. Thanks for joining us today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, always, man. Anytime. Thank you.
Take care. All right, we gotta continue on our road here, talking about WWE, folks. We're gonna get into WWE RAW this week. There WWE RAW on Netflix, the post show coming off the heels of Survivor Series. The show featured Rhea Ripley and Io Sky kicking off the program to issue a challenge to the Kabuki Warriors, which brought out Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss, who also wanted the shot at the titles. This led to the main event where Rio versus Bliss and Flair, only to go to a no contest thanks to the Kabuki Warriors attacking both ladies. However, the Bailey and Lyra Valkyria came out to make the save, only for the Judgment Days, Liv Morgan, Roxanne Perez, and Raquel Rodriguez laying out everyone in sight to stand tall with the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships. This came off the heels of a Judgment Day in-ring promo where Liv Morgan said that they are taking over Raw once again and showed that by the end of the night. Jey Uso scored a victory over LA Knight in a good opener, while Gunther beat Solo Sikoa in Solo Sikoa's greatest match of his career for both Knight and Gunther to advance to the Last Time Is Now tournament semifinals. Also, AJ Styles and Dragon Lee retained the World Tag Team Championships against the New Day on the show as well. Josh, any quick thoughts on Monday Night Raw this week? I think the most notable thing to talk about, though, was Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker had his pipe bomb this week with a absolutely superb promo on the show coming off the heels of his big victory in WarGames. He was given the floor after his match was made official with CM Punk for January 5th by Paul Heyman, and he just went out there and just cut like the best promo of his career. He called out Punk for not being what he always looked up to. He says, "You're not the guy that I watched on TV when I was a kid." He says that you're nothing more than a soft ass bitch. He also called out Seth Rollins for his wife being a bigger star than he is. And then he told Punk that he is the new best in the world. And that Punk came up to him at WrestleMania 40 last year and told him, "Yeah, kid, congratulations, but let's see if you can cut a promo with the big dogs." Well, la-dee-da. Consider the promo cut. What a line. What a home run on this promo Braun Breaker did. So what did you think about Breaker's pipe bomb and the rest of Monday Night Raw this week?
His promo was great. I think it's by far his best promo of his career. I enjoyed the intensity behind it, but also what kind of did worry me at first was I'm like, damn, I hope he doesn't fumble. Like, I hope he remembers his words, because he was going like right into it. You know what I mean? Sometimes when you get that hype, you can forget shit, especially somebody, his age, that being that young in the business. But he did what he did. He was great. It hit straight to the points. I felt like that did more than the pro show from WarGames. Like, it amped him up because he was the one that won. It was a great thing for him. As far as Raw itself, Raw was better than last week. Raw was a better show than last week. I really, for the most part, I did enjoy Raw. a better pace, better, just things felt better. Like it was a better flow of things compared to like last week. So I mean, overall, it was a good episode of Raw.
Yeah, I thought it was a very good episode of Raw. One of the better ones that we've seen in the last couple of weeks. And that Gunther and Solo Sikoa matchup, I can't rave about that match any more than I already did on Rated Raw Review. Like, that was the best solo match ever. Bar none.
Yeah. I mean, I do agree. Obviously when it comes to that, I mean, Gunther, I mean, man, he could work with anybody because all the best matches in the tournament have been all Gunther matches. So that should tell you something about him. He's a worker, and for a company that cares about characters and promos and stuff, you have one of your best in-ring guys. He's appealing. He's dominant. He's in a good spot. Gunther, I think he's in a good spot when it comes to him showcasing what he's great at. And this was no different. So I mean, like I said, it was a good episode of Raw.
Great episode for Solo Sikoa. Great episode for Braun Breaker. But please, WWE, pull the fucking trigger. Don't wait another year. Like, I really feel like I'm still going to wind up being right by WrestleMania. That Braun Breaker is going to get passed over again. But I'm hoping I'm wrong. But I'm going to keep with my balance of expecting the worst, hoping for the best. It got me this promo this week, but I was very vindicated and be like, see, that is the guy I said is the next top star, the next world heavyweight champion. He should be world heavyweight champion right goddamn now. What are we waiting for? This guy is ready. He brought the passion there. And I really feel like the Doomsday spot from Survivor Series where he gets dropped on his head, that gave him the motivation for that promo. There was something real in that promo, and I think it is that part that it all could have ended for him with that one spot and him getting checked out by the doctors afterwards. Luckily, he's a freak of nature and he doesn't have a normal man's body, because anybody else, that would have been the end of their career.
Yeah, it's crazy though. I forgot to bring that up, and when we did when we talked about WarGames earlier, in regards to that, I think what was more disappointing about that was that you had two veteran guys that probably should have known better. Like, if you can't pull this off, don't fucking do it. And I think that's the unfortunate part about that. I mean, luckily Braun didn't, nothing happened serious, but I did get, because when he landed, he had that loopy look where he, like, his arms just kind of like stood out and then he didn't move, and I was just like, oh no, like, that's not good. But again, we could sit here and blame who's responsible for what. At the end of the day, it is pro wrestling, so I'll be more forgivable on that end. Like, anything can happen. You can have a simple move and you get injured, but something like that, I mean, two veteran guys, they should have known better. Especially it was Cody and Punk. Come on, they got to know better than that.
We'll talk more about Braun Breaker in a bit here, but let's get into Friday Night SmackDown last night. Friday Night SmackDown, the show featured Drew McIntyre kicking off the show to arriving at the building, only to be told that he is still suspended by GM Nick Aldis. However, Cody Rhodes then attacked Drew in a form of revenge for his tour bus attack a couple of weeks ago, attacking him in his car. Cody went on to cut a fired-up babyface promo, asking Aldis to reinstate McIntyre so he can get his revenge. However, the most notable moment for Cody on the night was later in the show. He appeared in a backstage segment with Aldis, with also NXT champion Ricky Saints and Obafemi. I can't believe that our producer put this picture up and didn't realize that Roman Reigns was photoshopped into this picture. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Or he didn't even notice it like you did, Josh.
Oh my God.
he let Ricky and Oba know that the winner of their Deadline title match will face him at Saturday night's main event. In the opener to the show, Ilya Dragunov beat Carmelo Hayes in a very good match to retain the United States Championship after outside interference from Tommaso Ciampa. Later, Dragunov issued a challenge to Ciampa for the title next week. Solo Sikoa and the MFTs had an in-ring promo to brag about their victory in the traditional Survivor Series elimination match last week and called out the Wyatt Six, issuing a challenge for the WWE Tag Team Championships. That led to a huge brawl breaking out between the Wyatt Six and the MFTs. Then you had Alexa Bliss scored a victory over Kairi Sane in singles action. Post-match, Nia Jax and Lash Legend jumped Bliss and Charlotte Flair until the Kabuki Warriors joined the brawl, but Nia and Lash stood tall at the end with Asuka and Kairi bailing. Jade Cargill squashed Alba Fire in a quick win. Boy, they're setting the world on fire with their booking of Jade Cargill since she won the title. And finally, you had Gunther defeated LA Knight in another great main event from Gunther. He has had by far the 4 best matches of the Last Time Is Now tournament were all from Gunther. For all you nincompoops who tried to tell me that he shouldn't win the tournament, he's been the best part about it. He wins the tournament. He will now face John Cena next Saturday in his final match at Saturday night's main event. What did you think of SmackDown last night?
Well, I thought SmackDown was okay. I tried to pay attention to most of it because I was watching Final Battle, and I forgot what else I was watching. But I was watching so many stuff last night. I don't know why.
There was a lot of wrestling on last night. You had this show, you had ROH Final Battle, you had TNA Final Resolution, you had the GCW event. It was CMLL Viernes Spectacular came on early last night. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't care about TNA, but I was watching Final Battle. Final Battle has some great matches in there too. I was kind of, I'm not gonna say I'm surprised, but there is something that I'll talk about that. I mean, SmackDown was fine. It's just it was fine because I'm all right, it wasn't the worst SmackDown, but the whole Drew and Cody stuff is just. You're telling me that this man came back and he's still suspended? What? What are we doing? I thought that was just dumb. I thought that was very lame. The Cody and the NXT stuff, I thought that was pretty cool. Because it gives Ricky Saints an opportunity to face his dad next week. So I thought that's pretty cool, because that's what's gonna happen.
Damn, you call Cody Ricky's daddy? Oh, damn. I mean, you're not lying.
I mean, it is. I mean, hey, we gotta face the truth, but that'll be a fun matchup no matter what. If it's Oba, if it's Ricky, I think that'll be a fun matchup. It's just that's just gonna get the Cena retirement thing is gonna get overshadowed. So it don't matter what you put. I don't think that should have been at that spot there. I would have preferred it maybe on a Raw. I think Raw probably you could have kind of answered it up before a Raw. More so because the whole night is for Cena. But I mean it's a cool opportunity for either guy. So
I honestly wouldn't have been mad at WWE if they just did a 1-match show. They just did a whole. They could have done a whole big ceremony. Oh no, they could have done a ceremony like they did for Taker at that Survivor Series in 2020, where you have all Cena's rivals coming out. Maybe they can say something too. I remember.
I want to have mine.
It could have been the Ric Flair retirement, the Ric Flair Hall of Fame thing that they did after he lost to Michaels at WrestleMania. It could have been something like that. That would have been very cool. And then you end the night with John Cena's entrance. He can say goodbye to his friends right before he loses to Gunther in the main event.
Yeah, I actually want to have mine done, honestly, because I mean, it's not when you put on this match. It's it's probably gonna get lost because, we already know what the show is about. And I get it. You're trying to build up. I get it that you're trying to put more matches, but I mean, it's John Cena, man. It's John fucking Cena. He couldn't get his own PLE. He couldn't get a stadium show. even though you have 48,000 people waiting in the fucking queue for Saturday Night Main Event tickets, what does that tell you? You probably should have done the stadium, but that's just me. But
and there's those dumb people who be like, "Oh, well, we don't know if all 40,000 would have bought tickets." Dude, they could have had more than 40,000 probably.
Bro, even if you get 20 to 25,000 tickets, that's a big sale. That's a massive success right there. Because remind you guys, DC paid $7 million for them to run this show. They're probably not gonna get their $7 million. They're probably not gonna get the economy money back like Jersey did, because Jersey paid the same amount for SummerSlam. So, and that was a 2-night event. So to pay that for a small arena show one night, you could have done a stadium show to write off for Cena. Could have done it.
Y'all are foul. First, you got Josh calling Cody Ricky's daddy, and then you got Fitzgerald in the chat saying Cody gonna face his suitcase carrier. Fucking Ricky's.
Damn, you calling Ricky his caddy? Damn.
He's a fucking caddy boy. Y'all are foul. I hate all of y'all because y'all are hilarious. But coming off the heels of Braun Breaker's awesome promo, we got some good news for him, as it's almost time again for WrestleMania, which kicks off with the start of WrestleMania season at the Royal Rumble. It's right around the corner, in WrestleVotes Radio on Fightful Select. They had their debut show where they had an update on the front runner to win the men's Royal Rumble matchup at the upcoming event. Although Braun Breaker is currently scheduled to challenge CM Punk for the World Heavyweight Championship on the first Monday Night Raw of 2026, it looks like WWE might have some bigger plans for Breaker ahead. WrestleVotes Radio on Fightful Select reports that Braun Breaker is currently being viewed as the quote-unquote whiteboard favorite to win the men's Royal Rumble match next year. The whiteboard is in reference to the whiteboard featured in the WWE Creative Office as shown on WWE Unreal. However, as also shown in the Netflix docuseries, plans could change from now until the premium live event. Remember, Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins, CM Punk, and Gunther were two of the top matches for this year's WrestleMania that was on the whiteboard on Unreal that never happened. That said, WWE sources are still reportedly indicating that Braun Breaker is among the favorites to win the men's Rumble match. The premium live event is on January 31st, 2026 in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. However, first up, Breaker faces CM Punk for the World Heavyweight title at WWE Monday Night Raw on Monday, January 5th from the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. What do you think about Braun Breaker potentially being next year's Royal Rumble winner following either a dirty finish, a non-finish, or him losing on January 5th? That would be back-to-back years WWE gave us the title match that they're going to give us at WrestleMania, literally right before WrestleMania.
I mean, that's all that really tells me about January 5th. That they're already not only pushing it, but I don't think there's any indication that Braun wins that night. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it. I think that would be pretty cool. And then, but I also don't like the fact that you make him champion and then you run this program again, right? And then you have Punk versus Breaker at WrestleMania. You have Breaker going in as champion, which probably means Punk would win. And then you're like, oh, yeah, you see, Punk got his WrestleMania moment. Punk don't need no fucking WrestleMania moment. He already got the main event last year. He don't need it. That's what that really tells me if that was to happen. So, I mean, as far as like how they get there, I mean, we'll see. We'll see how it gets there. I mean, again, I wouldn't be opposed to Braun winning the Royal Rumble. Because again, they're in a spot where WWE they need to push new stars. They need to younger stars at that too, because we're at a point where it's like, all right, we see the big three. We see Cody, we see Punk, we see Roman. I understand that, but then it's like you could only go so far by only making them the big three. You know, you need to do something else too. You know, Punk is damn near 50. You know, Roman's 40. You know, he's in a good spot. Cody's 40. But, you know, obviously they're big names and they big draw. I understand that. But you need to do something to push your new stars and your young guys, especially, you know, somebody like Braun, where, yeah, he's only been wrestling for like 4 years. But, you know, back then it was like common. Guys were coming in pretty fast and they were winning titles. So I don't think this is like necessarily a negative thing if you make him a champion. It's just, I want to see how it gets there. But I'm not opposed to it. I'm not opposed to Braun winning. Like, if he wants to Royal Rumble, fuck it. I'll take it.
He's the best out of the new options to win the Rumble, most definitely. There's no question about it at all. I think that probably more likely of a winner, Roman Reigns. I think that would be the more likely of the winner. And if it's going to be a pivot, Jacob Fatu because of Roman Reigns. But
that'll be the ultimate pivot. I'm like, damn, bro. Now you just got creative, like completely.
You got creative by the balls, apparently. God damn.
It was like, which again, I mean, even Jacob winning. I mean, we know how talented Jacob is too. So it's like, again, kind of just tells you that they do have options. It's just a matter of what they do with those options. And you know, like this past Royal Rumble, it was just more about the moment. Oh wait, let's make Jay the winner because that's going to shock people, right? It shocked people, but I don't think it shocked people the best way possible. Yeah.
But speaking of Braun Breaker, you got to talk about his former Vision leader, Seth Rollins. We've been keeping up with his whole recovery status as it's been going on, and he provided another update on his recovery during his absence from WWE. Of course, he suffered the injury during his matchup against Cody Rhodes at Crown Jewel. In a recent appearance on the Rich Eisen show, Seth revealed that he recently got his brace off and that his recovery is quote-unquote on track. He said, no, we're on track. We're on track. Yeah, I got the brace off like last week, middle of last week. So it was nice. It's nice to walk around like a regular person. I know there's a lot of skepticism in your question, TJ, but you can consult my surgeon. I'm feeling all right. It's nice to be able to be around without the brace. I'll say that, but we're on track, Seth said. So we will keep you updated on Seth Rollins. He's another option to potentially face Braun Breaker at WrestleMania next year. So we will see what happens there. But we also mentioned someone else that we got to get an update on, Jacob Fatu. As previously reported, the WWE superstar and former U.S. champion Jacob Fatu was sidelined with an injury in October that was expected to keep him out of action until early 2026. PW Insider Elite has an update on Fatu. According to PW Insider Elite's update, WWE sources informed the outlet that Fatu will be able to return to the ring in the next few weeks. Additionally, it said that there was discussion behind the scenes at WWE Survivor Series WarGames last weekend that Fatu was closing in on his television return. As previously reported, Fatu was rumored to be planned for a feud with Drew McIntyre. However, due to the injury, McIntyre and Cody Rhodes' title belt was moved up to Saturday night's main event instead of taking place at Survivor Series. Jacob Fatu, like we said with Seth Rollins, we will keep you updated on when he makes his return or when he's expected to make his return. But on Monday Night Raw this week, there was an interesting segment that caught a lot of eyes. This week's Monday Night Raw saw former SmackDown Women's Champion Natalya bring her Nattie Neidhart character to WWE television. A vignette aired during the show in which Natalya or Nattie was seen aggressively training newly crowned Women's Intercontinental Champion Maxine Dupree in the dungeon, with the Alpha Academy member being repeatedly taken down by the 43-year-old who kept saying again. When it was Dupree's turn to go for the offense, she was easily taken down by the veteran after being slapped around, asked to leave the ring by Nattie. Maxine shouted again, only for Neidhart to turn around and smile. WrestleVotes radio on Fightful Select has provided an update on Natalya's no-nonsense character debuting on WWE TV. According to the Wrestling Insider, the live and social reactions to Natalya's low-key legend gimmick, which has been seen on the independent circuit since April 2025, caught the attention of the upper management of the company. This is said to be the factor in her bringing this character to WWE TV. The report also adds that the Queen of Hearts has been instrumental in pushing to portray this new character, taking upon herself to get booked outside the promotion. Additionally, Sean Ross Sapp had an update of his own. He spoke to WWE sources who claimed that the company initially wanted to continue with Natalya's current presentation, but the veteran herself pushed for a permanent change to her character. The report also adds that the company has been protective of her matches airing as Nattie and has also not allowed her appearances in NWA to air at all as well. So it seems that WWE has big plans for Nattie Neidhart. Do you think that she's going to be the one to dethrone Maxine Dupree? Please and thank you.
I mean, you would hope so. At this point, I mean, again, Natalya, it's not the fact that she's bad, because I think she's a great wrestler. It's just the way they presented her that makes her look like a joke, and that's why I feel bad, because it's like, it's not her as like an individual, it's not her as a performer. It's when a company presents you as a joke, then people are going to take you as a joke. That's the biggest thing about Natalya, about anything. But I have like the gimmick. Like, I've been seeing a few stuff on I think what was it, Bloodsport? I believe she did. Like, I saw Bloodsport stuff. I was like, oh shit, like, it's a different side of her I never seen. So I'm actually not opposed to it. She wants something different, and if she's making that request, obviously that vignette was actually really good too. I actually did enjoy that vignette.
Yeah.
As far as anything major happening, I gotta wait and see, just because like every time we get to this kind of point where it's like, oh my god, we love the videos, we praise it, and then that happens. So I mean, we'll see.
Oh man, we got it in the comment section here. I wasn't going to bring it up on the agenda. I was into Fitzgerald bring it up. Mark Henry this week saying that guys like Javon Evans will have his time in 15 years.
Oh, he said that like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, it was 2 weeks ago? I didn't care.
Yeah, no, it was like,
I didn't.
No, I'm saying, no, it was like 2 weeks ago. But I think he said something else that was like ridiculous this past week, which I was just like, it's like, oh boy. Yeah, that comment was fucking stupid. If you have young stars, it don't fucking matter. Like, if it's the right time, fucking push them. Like, we were seeing it, Javon Evans, we had the young kid from TNA, Slater, he's fucking good. You have them now. You use them while you can. Like, it doesn't fucking matter. Like,
and yeah, the Nick Khan comments, I need Nick Khan to stop saying things about wrestling. It is quite obvious. He is exposing the fact that he's not really the wrestling fan that he claimed himself to be. Him saying that Rey Mysterio was nothing in WCW, a 5-time Cruiserweight champion, a 3-time World Tag Team champion, influential for bringing Lucha Libre to an American audience, and considered one of the greatest light heavyweight, junior heavyweight, cruiserweight performers that we ever seen before he ever makes his WWE debut in 2002. That is fucking wrong, incorrect, and totally ignorant to say.
Yeah, that was wild, because I'm like, did this man forget that WWE signed Rey Mysterio because of what he did in WCW? Did he forget that? I think it's just Nick Khan. It's him being the fucking corporate person that he is. I'm not defending anything he says, because this is not the first time he's put his foot in his mouth this year. This year alone has been like a really bad year with Nick Khan when it comes to him saying shit that's just like ridiculous. This man said that WWE is always the underdog. This is what he said.
I did forget that. He did say that.
This is the same man that said WWE is the underdog. my man, I understand you got a big job. I understand what you're doing, but goddamn, like you
have no
when
fucking self-awareness.
when it comes to this fucking revisionist history, oh my god, like you couldn't be more wrong. And it's crazy because like you easily could have praised Rey Mysterio instead. You kind of shitted on him. You low key shitted on Rey Mysterio by saying like, oh, he was nothing in WCW.
So ridiculous. Such a ridiculous comment. Final news note to get into before we finish off WWE with the C-level shows. Yeah, WWE is reportedly exploring the possibility of transitioning Nikki Bella into a new role as a heel manager, according to Wrestling Observer newsletter. The discussions follow her recent heel turn and her WWE Women's World Championship matchup against Stephanie Vicaire at Survivor Series, where Bella stated that she was not done with her WWE run. Dave Meltzer had previously reported that Bella was not going anywhere despite her loss to Stephanie Vicaire. The new report is that she is being considered as a heel manager that would place her alongside a rising talent, potentially allowing her to serve as a featured on-screen mouthpiece rather than a regular wrestler. Her recent segments on Raw have focused heavily on character work. Nothing has been finalized, and WWE has not identified a specific performer Nikki Bella would accompany, and the concept seems to be in preliminary stages as WWE Hall of Fame continues to appear. The WWE Hall of Famers continues to appear on television as an active performer. Her current storylines remain focused on her heel persona and its direction following her Survivor Series loss. Put Nikki Bella with either Chelsea Green or JC Jane and call it a day. I say JC Jane more because I feel like she's gonna need something. If she gets called up without Fatal Influence, she's gonna need somebody to work off of because she's always proven Toxic Attraction, Fatal Influence. She works better working alongside someone. Nikki Bella is the someone. Put JC Jane with Nikki Bella. That would be where I would go with that.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't oppose to her being a manager. Just because, again, what we've seen from the ring, we don't need to see another Nikki Bella match at this point. So if she could push somebody else, help somebody else, especially being a heel, she does draw a good heat. So, regardless of if her promo's not good or whatever she says might not be good, I do think there is some value to Nikki Bella, and I think that would be a good spot.
Agreed. We're in agreement there. I did also see that Michael McGee, who said Mark Henry said something about Persephone and CMLL. That was mostly positive, but that was basically just TKO representatives trying to twerk for somebody to get the TKO gift basket and bring them over. That was more of like, oh, this young star is good. Let's try licking their boots so they'll come to WWE.
And then he openly admitted that he didn't see like her. He basically kind of low-key admitted that he hasn't seen like her other matches.
Mark Henry, you're predictable. AAA Azazes was last Friday, November 28th. The show featured El Grande Americano defeating El Hijo del Vikingo in a fabulous main event. I tell you, go out of your way to watch this. This had some of the best crowd heat of the entire year. El Grande got the win thanks to interference from Bravo and Rio Americano, as well as Dragon Lee. Post-match, Lee and Vikingo got into an intense pull-apart brawl, with Rey Mysterio being the voice of reason and making a match between the two. Jack Cartwheel picked up a victory over Chris Carter and Elio Lafleur in an awesome three-way opener to earn the last spot in the three-way for the AAA Cruiserweight title against Laredo Kid and Javon Evans. Then you had TNA Impact. That show featured Xia Brookside scoring a win over Danny Luna to become the number one contender for the Knockouts World title. Team NXT beat Team TNA in the main event, with Stax pinning Steve Macklin ahead of their TNA International title matchup. And then last night you had Final Resolution. That show featured Frankie Kazarian retaining the TNA World title against JDC in the main event. Post-match, the system came out to check on JDC, only for the NXT Invaders to come down to attack the group. This led to the NXT Invaders taking over the ring and were about to set fire to the TNA logo in the center. until Steve Macklin, Mike Santana, and the Hardys made the save. This led to a big pull-apart brawl between everyone, which ended with Stacks knocking out his father-in-law, Santino, to close the special. Yes, the lower card talent from NXT punched out the comedy authority figure to close the show. Yes, this NXT versus TNA storyline is going very, very well. Speaking of Channing Lorenzo, he picked up a victory, a huge one, as another WWE talent wins TNA Gold, as Stacks defeated Steve Macklin for the TNA International Championship. Leon Slater defeated AJ Francis to retain the X Division title after Rich Swann betrayed his first-class partner after being verbally and physically abused by him. Lei Ying Lee beat her tag team partner Xia Brookside in a competitive match to retain the TNA Knockouts World Championship. Post-match, Danny Luna attacked both Angel Warriors until Indy Hartwell made the save and were all pulled apart by security. On the countdown to Final Resolution, the System scored a victory over the debuting Bear Bronson, Brock, and C.W. Anderson. This was viewed as a tryout for them to potentially be the newest member of the System to replace JDC after Genesis. You had Mike Santana picked up a win over Charlie Dempsey in the opener. The Inspiration beat Tessa Blanchard and Victoria Crawford to retain the TNA Knockouts World Tag Team Championships, while Matt Cardona scored a victory over Mance Warner in a street fight. The Rascals defeated Order 4 in an awesome 8-man tag that saw Elijah return to get some revenge on Mustafa Ali. Then you had the Hardys picked up a victory over High Rise to retain the TNA Knockouts World Tag Team Championships. Post-match, The Righteous, Vincent and Dutch made their TNA debuts to send a message to the Hardys. WWE Evolved, you had Kendall Gray retain the WWE Evolved Women's Championship over Chantel Monroe. That was the big note from that show. And then you had WWE NXT this week. That show featured the ladies in the Women's Iron Survivor having a summit, which led to a brawl started by Kalani Jordan and Jordan Grace. Later, Sol Ruka, Lola Vice, and Kendall Gray picked up a victory over Fatal Influence, with Sol pinning the NXT Women's Champion, JC Jane. However, post-match, Zarya looked to go after Sol with a spear, only to hit Gray instead and get into an argument with her tag team partner. Josh Briggs picked up another big win over Tavion Heights in the opener, while OTM scored a win over Chase U. Miles Bourne, Javon Evans, Leon Slater, and Joe Hendry defeated Dark State, with Bourne scoring the pin to earn the right to choose his spot in the men's Iron Survivor match at Deadline. And finally, Obafemi and Ricky Saints had their contract signing for the NXT Deadline title bout, which Ava informed us will kick off tonight's PLE. So, 5 shows, rundown. I know I'm good. But yes, that was the week from the CU level shows. But there is big news when it comes to the world of TNA, Josh. As previously reported, AMC looked to be the emerging favorite to be at the new broadcast home for TNA Impact and TNA Wrestling. And now it's official. AMC Networks and TNA Wrestling announced Thursday a multi-year media rights partnership that will bring TNA programming to AMC and AMC Plus starting in January 2026. Under the new broadcast partnership, AMC will become the new home of TNA's flagship weekly television show, Thursday Night Impact. Impact will continue to air on Thursday nights on AMC with the new broadcast deal kicking off on January 5th. The first edition of Thursday Night Impact will be a live show at the Curtis Caldwell Center in Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. The Thursday Night Impact will air as a 2-hour block exclusively on the AMC network every Thursday from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern. Also, under the new media rights agreement, the weekly telecast will also be available to viewers on AMC Plus. Additionally, TNA announced that it will be heading to Albuquerque, New Mexico for back-to-back nights for the first time on Thursday, January 22nd and 23rd. Coincidentally, Albuquerque is also the setting of AMC's hit show Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. The Albuquerque shows in January will be held at the Tingley Coliseum, and tickets go on sale on December 11th. The press release noted that TNA's top current stars include the Hardys, the Nemeth, TNA World Champion Frankie Kazarian, Steve Macklin, Mike Santana, Eddie Edwards, Brian Myers, Santino Marella, Mustafa Ali, Moose, Elijah, Eric Young, Tessa Blanchard, Ash by Elegance, and others. It also noted that reigning X Division champion, who is currently the youngest X Division champion in TNA history at 21 years old. And it also mentions the TNA Women's Division with Knockouts Division, including reigning Knockouts World Champion Lei Ying Lee and Tag Team Champions The Inspiration. The press release also notes TNA's groundbreaking multi-year partnership with WWE and its NXT brand, with WWE stars appearing on TNA programming and TNA stars appearing on WWE shows. During the latest edition of the Wrestling Observer Radio, hosts Brian Alvarez and Dave Meltzer discussed the deal as well. Meltzer also noted that while Impact won't be live every week on AMC, they will be live a lot, he said. Specifically, the first 2 weeks of Impact will be live, and the third show will be a tape delay broadcast. TNA will notably be taping Impact on the road for its flagship weekly show. However, Meltzer stated that TNA talked about taping all of their weekly Impact shows in Orlando, Florida for the last year plus. During a recent interview with Sports Illustrated's The Takedown, TNA President Carlos Silver stated that WWE had no involvement in TNA Wrestling's negotiations with AMC, and the negotiations were handled but through TNA and CAA. TNA's Wrestling's extended silence following its Bound for Glory event in October could be tied to budget management on the ongoing negotiation of the television deal. Sources speaking to Fightful Select didn't give an official answer, but some believe the company paused the television tapings for the operational reasons while finalizing the agreement, and the break lasted several weeks before TNA resumed activity. Work on the AMC deal reportedly began in the spring, but only a small internal group handled discussions. Information remains restricted until December 2nd, when the roster received a formal briefing hours before the public announcement. The tight control over details fueled speculation about the company's status during this quiet period, and the new deal positions them on AMC and AMC Plus. The move to a major network has been viewed as a significant opportunity for broader reach and more consistent exposure. While most talents reacted positively, some wrestlers expressed hope that the shift may eventually increase the emphasis on creative decisions. The eternal reaction followed a morning briefing on December 2nd. Sources described the atmosphere as unanimously positive. Several individuals reportedly called the reaction sunshine and rainbows, noting that the eternal belief that AMC's reach offers meaningful growth opportunities, and talent and crew members express a common hope that the move will strengthen the company's creative, with many expecting improved storytelling and production once TNA expands and settles in its new broadcast home. The AMC deal marks one of TNA's most significant media moves in years, and it also positions the company for an increased visibility through a mainstream cable network and central streaming platform. What was your reaction to TNA on AMC?
My reaction, it was like that scene from Transformers, you know, when Megatron was sitting by himself in part 3. And they're like, "Are you gonna do something about it?" That was my reaction. I was just sitting there like, "All right, cool." Like, that's how I feel about it. On one hand, I mean, it's good for TNA. You know, I want to be fair. I don't want to be, you know, I don't want to be in bad faith. So for TNA is actually a good thing. You know, they got a prominent rights deal. You know, props to Carlos Silva. I'll give him credit too. They were looking to $7 to $10 million. It looks like that's what they got. It looks like they got about $10 million a year. So that's a significant number for TNA itself. But He's definitely totally full of shit about WWE had no part in negotiations. He is so full of shit when it comes to that. We all know the writing on the wall. WWE had a lot to do with it. You know, and TNA rep themselves confirmed that. And now they said that first, and then he says that. Obviously, there's a big disconnect in that. I mean, hey, we all know like what's going on when it comes to that. Obviously, you have a partnership with WWE. Being associated with WWE, that's gonna give you opportunities. Which, you know, there's no knock to them about it. I understand that, but to just try to downplay it, oh no, they had no part of it. It's just definitely cap. You know, they're on a good channel. AMC, it's a prominent channel. They have good shows on there. The only thing for TNA is what they really got to do is they got to just make their shows better, make your creatives better, make your shows better. Because if you're just doing the same stuff that you've been doing and you're just on a different channel, it's not going to go very well. You know, you could be on the new channel. If your product is not good, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what money you get. It's just your show. If it's bad, then it's bad. When it comes to TNA, we know the talent that they got. They got great talent. The talent has never been a problem. It's the direction, it's creative direction that they go with. And as long as you're in this partnership with WWE, there's not much really leeway that you could really have, especially when you want to do things on your own. TNA has always relied on other partners. They've always relied on other aspects to getting over. TNA hasn't really truly been over on their own. Maybe when they're on Spike TV for the most part, I would say. But there's always a need for them to partner up with somebody or have a partnership. Obviously, with WWE, you know, everybody sees it as a W. Everyone sees that as a win because, like, oh my God, we never seen a partnership this great. This, you know, is working out for them. But if you're not seeing what we've been seeing, then that's part of the problem. You know, again, it's good for TNA. It's a good thing for TNA. It's just if you want people to tune in, because remember, this landscape of wrestling, like we were talking about earlier, like a lot of these companies are getting big TV deals, but wrestling is a niche product. You know, RJ City is right about that. And it's a big hard to sell, especially on a channel like AMC where you have these great shows. That's a hard sell to sell wrestling on. It's going to be so hard, so difficult to sell that on, especially when people expect great things, right? They expect great shows on this channel. If you're not giving them that, you're going to have a hard time to sell casual fans on that.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough, but I mean, I think this news is fantastic for TNA. TNA has been around for 23 years. This company has never been profitable in 23 years. In 23 years, they have never been profitable. And back in 2014, when they get pulled from Spike TV, I lived in a generation of like wrestling fans, and this was me in my 20s, where I had never seen a company go off of a major network and survive. Not only survive, but go through different variations, go to even more drama since then. And then 10 years later, you go to a bigger network than where you were at 10 years prior. This is one of the most fascinating and remarkable stories in pro wrestling that not a lot of people will talk about because TNA has such this negative connotation to it, whether it be TNA during this original run and all the ups and downs and bad storylines that they had back then and how they were run by Dixie Carter, the treatment and what they have done over the last couple of years with firing Scott D'Amore, firing Gail Kim, do it all of Carlos Silva's decisions, kind of being the cuckold to WWE for a while. But for all of this to translate into that, I got to give it up for TNA. They are amazing. The fact that they have been able to live and now they have this media rights deal that can potentially one day they'll be profitable. I think that's great for them. That's awesome. And not only that, not only is it great for TNA, it's tremendous for pro wrestling in general that you have another company, a third company that can become a valuable third option. Because if it is on AMC TV, there has to be some money involved in this. There's been reports that it's about 30 million either in total. I think like that's the total amount. So over 3 years, maybe it's 10 million per year, which is a great deal for AMC. And it puts TNA at a relative place where they can outdo that contract and get more on the next deal. So they're in a great position for the next 3 to 5 to 10 years to be on a very valuable spot on network television. And that's great for pro wrestling, where every single weekday and Saturday there is weekly wrestling television now. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, in that aspect, I wish everybody had like that same feeling about it. Just because, again, you know, when it comes to wrestling and, you know, wrestling in general, I mean, there's always different kind of aspects of wrestling. People like the heavy set wrestling. People like the storytelling wrestling. People like storyline wrestling. So, you know, this gives like another option. But also, you know, for TNA, you know, for one, you know, I don't want to call it luck, but they've been very, I mean, I don't want to use the word lucky, but the fact that people are willing to pump in money into TNA, that's what's been keeping it alive. So, I mean, they've been very gracious when it comes to that somebody is always either somebody, multiple people have been willing to keep it alive, pumping in money to keep it alive, to keep it going. Because usually, you know, that's how WCW died. WCW died because they lost their television deal. That's why it died. Truly, like, we could blame other people, but the real reason WCW went out of business was because AOL kicked them off of their network. That's why it died. So when it comes to TNA, they easily could have folded after losing Spike TV, but somebody, some way, somehow, have always found another person, another buyer to keep it going. You know, and this was no different. You know, this was no different. But, you know, it's also, again, TNA is also a good line for other wrestlers. Like, if wrestlers can't get over in WWE, they can't get over in AEW. This is kind of a great segue for TNA that's still there and people are still getting jobs. Like, we've been saying it for a while. Like Steve Macklin, you know, like, remember, nobody took him seriously in WWE, and then he goes to TNA and then he becomes a world champion there. And then the fact that he was even named on like on the press release, what does that tell you? How they value somebody like him? You know, like last night, Bear Bronson, I've known him personally because I've worked with Bear Bronson. I'm happy for him. Somebody like that who's getting a tryout to try to get a contract, another contract. I like stuff like that because these guys, you know, they're humans at the end of the day. You know, this is their livelihood. This is what they know. This is what they do best. So for TNA to still be around, you know, for that aspect, it's important to pro wrestling. That as much as people don't want to believe it, it's important because it's a good lane for starters, for people who want to get their feet wet. TNA will always give you that opportunity. It's just, to TNA overall, I just want them to get better. It's like, if you want people to tune in, you want to grow a fan base, your shit needs to just be better when it comes to like my criticism with TNA.
Sorry, I couldn't hear anything for a second. I had to disconnect my headphones. I didn't hear the last part you said, but thank you.
Oh no, I just said
I
just said TNA just needs to get better at their creative. I was like, they just need to, you know, you need to do stuff that you need to get out of that 90s mindset of booking. Like, you know, it's just, you know, we're in 2025 going to 2026. You got to just do things better creatively.
1000% agree over there. So there's more kind of fallout from the TNA deal with AMC, as there's going to be plenty of backstage details that come out over the next couple of months as well. But this deal has led to fans questioning if TNA's working relationship with WWE NXT would continue. Speaking to Busted Open Radio on the announcement, TNA President Carlos Silva confirmed that TNA's crossover with NXT will continue despite the recent announcement. When asked if TNA's relationship with WWE would continue, Silver responded via Fightful, absolutely. It's a big part of helping us get to this deal. It's a big part of now being able to give back a little and provide a big platform for some of those superstars as well. The storylines and things we're doing together, they are going to continue to grow into 2026. Meanwhile, TNA X Division champion Leon Slater is scheduled to compete on tonight's Deadline event in the men's Iron Survivor. WWE was also aware of TNA Wrestling's new television deal with AMC Networks well before it became public and was even involved in helping secure the agreement, according to a new report from Fightful. The information further debunks the speculation that the WWE TNA partnership was in jeopardy following TNA's media rights deal. The multi-year deal was confirmed on December 2nd, and the work started in the spring to nail down this deal. Under the new agreement, TNA's weekly show, TNA Impact, will air on AMC started on January 15th. While speaking to Fightful, sources within TNA strongly denied rumors suggesting their collaboration with WWE was ending. Some within the company indicated that WWE's involvement aided in helping finalize the AMC TV deal. The report also confirmed that WWE officials were aware of the deal early in the process. This debunks all those rumors about the partnership ending. And WWE currently is in discussions with several notable TNA wrestlers about potential opportunities as well. According to the Wrestling Observer newsletter, these talks with performers followed the crossover appearances of Jordan Grace and Joe Hendry, which led to both becoming part of the WWE roster. Sources indicate that wrestlers including Mike Santana, Mustafa Ali, Jake Something, AJ Francis, Steve Macklin, and Zachary Wentz have been waiting for updated contract offers from TNA. Those offers were delayed while the company finalized this new television deal. Meltzer has reported and noted that the company was slow in offering new deals until the new TV deal was done. The timing has created an unusual negotiation window. WWE's early conversations have emerged just as several TNA wrestlers await formal offers, giving both companies an opportunity to assess roster needs and potential movement. The working relationship between the companies have also allowed WWE officials to see TNA talent in person, adding to speculation that more crossover moments or direct signings could follow. As reported earlier, inside TNA, the mood remains optimistic about the AMC partnership, and many believe the expanded platform will lead to stronger creative and better exposure. However, TNA's upcoming contract offers will play a major role in determining whether talent chooses to stay or explore WWE interests more seriously. As of now, no formal agreements between WWE and the named wrestlers have been confirmed. But on a similar note of WWE NXT and TNA, in the latest edition of the Wrestling Observer newsletter, veteran journalist Dave Meltzer has claimed that one WWE source indicated that TNA Wrestling would love to have AJ Styles wrestle on the first episode of Impact on AMC. Styles, who was integral to the part of TNA Wrestling for many years, appeared at Slammiversary this past July. However, WWE reportedly did not permit him to wrestle on the event. The Phenomenal One previously expressed his desire to wrestle one more match in TNA, but admitted that it's unlikely to happen as he won't get the go-ahead from WWE. Meltzer further wrote in Wrestling Observer newsletter that at one point TNA was in talks with Full Sail University in Orlando about its new home for TV tapings and to have Impact go live weekly. However, that did not materialize, and the company will continue to tape its shows at different locations like it has done for all this year. So, some additional notes. So those are some big names from the TNA roster that is without a deal right now. And if they decide to sign up with WWE or even another company, would be interesting for how that would look for TNA when they need to sign up talent. Speaking of which, is there anyone you would like to see signed by TNA? I think there's a lot of talent on the independent scene. And I already saw folks in the chat bringing her up. Nikki Blackheart is one of my friends on Twitter, and I've been catching up on her work. She's great. I had mentioned Lena Kross earlier this week, but we'll talk about Lena Kross signing somewhere else. So there's a lot of, like, especially female talent, like the Knockouts division. They need like a replenish of stars, because if you look at the Knockouts division right now, it's nothing but ex-WWE stars, and it's kind of ridiculous. It's ex-WWE stars and then Jody Threat and Danny Luna. That's basically the Knockouts division at this point. So they need more female talent. So there's a bunch on the independent scene that they can look to. Who do you think they should sign to TNA?
As far as the women, I think they should focus on that. Revamp that women's knockouts division, because the knockouts division was like their strongest, their go-to when it came to TNA's history. Like that was always mostly the strongest point. Like TNA at one point had a way stronger division than the women's division. Like, you know, it was way more prominent to watch that women's wrestling on TNA than it was on WWE television. So I think that's something that they should focus on. I do like Nikki Blackheart. You know, I've seen some of her stuff. She kind of looks like a Brolic Saraya a little bit. You know, that's how I caught my attention to her, because I was like, is that Saraya? And then I was like, wait, she's not that. I was like, damn, she's pretty big. It's like China. I think that would be like a good signing. That's if she wants to do it. You know, but you know, because you know, when you sign with TNA, you can also still do independent bookings. So I think that could benefit, you know, some young talents. I did have like the other young lady you mentioned, but she ended up going somewhere else. So I think that's something. As far as the men's, I had to really see the landscape of the men in independent wrestling. But I think with Finn now,
LeBron Cronin is a good person. That is very stiff in the ring, very hard hitting. That would be good for them. The Workhorsemen, despite making multiple appearances on AEW and ROH television, don't have a deal with ROH or AEW. So that's an easy person. They already kind of did that with the Righteous, where they snag up these guys that have been on Ring of Honor not being utilized well, and they could snag them up and have ready-made stars, even though that was quite disrespectful what that TNA crowd did to the Righteous last night. That "Who are you" chant is ridiculous when Vincent's been in this company before.
Yeah, believe me, I've been open about the Righteous. They're not my cup of tea, but I thought that was pretty wild. I was like, where wasn't the internet behind these guys? And now you have a whole sea of fake TNA fans saying, "Who are you?" That was weird to me. But as far as the men's, honestly, like with Finn, you know, like if Santana's not I think that's a guy you try to resign, Santana. Just because it seems like he really wants to be there. You know, as far as understanding where he comes from and how he is, and if he's okay with what's been going on. Like, I mean, you know, I haven't been in favor of his booking. It's been sad what they've been doing. However, at the end of the day, it's Santana's decision. If he trusts who he works with, if he trusts them more than me, you know, he has every right to feel that way, because he's the one that's there. He's the one that's working. So I can't fault him for feeling if he's going to defend TNA or not. I do think that there's that's a guy they need to re-sign to a multi-year deal, in my opinion. Just because like WWE does seem like a good aspect, but I kind of see the ceiling for him in WWE, and it's not a good one, unfortunately. TNA, we already seen that he already been a champion, so I think you could build off of that. I think you could build off of somebody like that. I think he'll be a priority, in my opinion, to re-sign.
There you go. We got another super chat donation here to highlight. We got Chuck Berries with the super chat donation. He says, instead of going straight to WWE, what if Chris Jericho appears at the TNA premiere on AMC in January? Would you guys buy that happening? Go look at my Twitter page, Chuck Berries, where this week I said, yo, I don't know about y'all, but Chris Jericho showing up on the AMC premiere and challenging Mike Santana for the TNA World Championship after Mike wins it back from Frankie, that would be the most lucrative program in TNA in the last 20 years. Like, I don't know about anybody else, but as far as where is the place that Chris Jericho would have the most positive impact on the promotion and for this time in his career, it's TNA. It's TNA, and it's not even close. Like, WWE and AEW are not even close to how much value Chris Jericho at this point would be to TNA right now.
Yeah, that does look kind of. That does seem kind of wild too. It's just the aspect of having Chris Jericho and TNA. That would be kind of like, oh boy, like, that's interesting. But I do agree with the aspect of if Jericho could do whatever he wants, he's going to do that in TNA. They're going to bend the knee for him. He could do that in TNA. Because he's not going to do that in WWE. You could talk about retirement tour. We've seen it with John Cena. You think Chris Jericho's going to get a better one? Absolutely not. In AEW, I think that ship has sailed, in my opinion. I think he's been there long enough. He did what he's done. I think they appreciate him enough. However, the last year or so, we kind of saw the writing on the wall for Chris Jericho. We kind of seen what we're getting out of him, and I think it's time to move on. Sometimes the ceiling is there. I think it's time for him to move on. For somewhere like TNA, I think that would be a prominent spot for him because they do like legends. We've seen it with the Hardy Boys. You've seen how they get revamped. This might be an indication if he goes to TNA, Jericho could go even longer in wrestling, which I'm not saying it's a good or bad thing, but if it's beneficial to TNA, they're going to do it. And I think there's something that they probably should look into doing, in my opinion.
1,000%. If he's available, you give him the biggest money contract you possibly can because he could be a big boost for them going to AMC. Final C-level WWE news from AAA. We have an update on Penta's recovery status. The luchador landed hard during his matchup against Solo Sikoa on last week's Monday Night Raw. Following that, he was deemed unable to compete, and the match was awarded to Sikoa. Renowned physician among luchadors, Dr. Asai, appeared in a video on Instagram alongside Penta and provided a heartening update on the masked wrestler's recovery status. He said that Penta is recovering well, and he expects the Raw superstar to be cleared this Friday. At Penta, Zero Miro is on the right track, and we have the good results so far. However, we must not get complacent. And must continue working together. I'm confident it will be ready by Friday. When a fan asks if he'd be ready for the AAA Guerrero de Titans, where he will team with Rey Fenix to face Dominic Mysterio and El Grande Americano, he said, hope so. So some good news in regards to Penta status. We got some AEW to get into, but of course, you know what time it is. Y'all know what time it is. It's about that time. It is TikTok time. TikTok time with all of you. Time to talk some end of year TikTok time where I got two games for us where we could get through this pretty quickly to get into some AEW here, but we got a game that I started off with our good friend, our good brother, Jimmy Macaram on AE Ramble that I can do with you here, which is a variation of a game that we've played multiple times on TikTok time. Who had the better career? Except this is who had the better 2025, Josh. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Who had the better 2025, John Cena or Samoa Joe?
I'm going to go with Samoa Joe.
I will go with John Cena. I only go with John Cena because I have to ask myself, who has the better campaign to be Wrestler of the Year? It would be John Cena. Joe had the better second half of 2025 with winning the AEW World Championship, and he was probably more consistent than John Cena this year, but Cena had the bigger moments, Cena had the bigger matches, some of the best matches in WWE. Can't really say that about Joe, so I'll give it to Cena. I know the heel turn ruined it for most of y'all. But
it wasn't even the heel turn. It wasn't even the heel turn for me. It's just the inconsistency. It has nothing to do with Cena. It's just overall shit with him.
All right, we have a pair of rivals here, former rivals. CM Punk versus Mark Briscoe. Who had the better 2025?
You see, this one is a little bit difficult for me. I'm going to say Punk.
Yeah, I think it's Punk. I think the Punk has had has been one of the best as far as male wrestlers in WWE this year. He had the great match at WrestleMania, the great cage match with Rollins. The Netflix premiere was a great matchup as well. The matchup with Gunther at SummerSlam was tremendous, and so he's had these great matches. He's been a part of big moments with the cash in by Seth, with Heyman turning on him, the whole Vision and all that storyline had multiple good moments. I think that Mark Briscoe had a very underrated 2025 where he's had the great matches with MJF and Kyle Fletcher multiple times, and he won the TNT championship at the end of the year, but he's at a certain level that Punk is way higher than. So you got to value some of Punk's moments and matches a little bit higher than Briscoe. I think Briscoe's definitely had the better catalog of matches this year, but the moments, the promos, Punk wins out. All right, final one for who had the better 2025. Mercedes Moné versus Stephanie Vicaire. Who had the better 2025?
I'm going to say Mercedes.
I think it's Mercedes as well. What she did for women's wrestling cannot be met. I think that Stephanie Vicaire was the most appropriate person to put against her because she won a lot of titles this year as well. So I think that this is the best matchup as far as who I would pick from WWE, but Mercedes wins out. Mercedes, one of the best women's wrestlers of 2025 by far. All right, now we're going to do part one of King of the Hill, because last week we did King of the Hill for the best pay-per-view or PLE. The reason why we're doing a King of the Hill part one, because we have much more to go through, but we're going to start it off. Our King of the Hill for best match of 2025. Are you ready, Josh?
Ready.
King of the Hill, match one or matchup one. We got Io Sky, Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair versus Io Sky, Rhea Ripley with a cash-in from Naomi from Evolution. So what was the better between those two? The triple threat at WrestleMania or the Money in the Bank cash-in at Evolution?
It was the triple threat opener from WrestleMania.
I agree. Io, Bianca, and Rhea. That's my WWE match of the year. Spoiler alert. You got that triple threat matchup going up against Saya Kamatani versus Tam Nakano from Stardom All-Star Grand Queendom 2025.
Oh, you see? I'm going to go with Nakano. I'm going to go with that match.
Oh, I'm definitely going with Saya and Tam. Yeah. That's one of like the best storytelling matches of the entire year that not a lot of people will talk about probably at the end of the year. That match is special. That is ridiculous how good that match was. Now we got Saya and Tam versus Shuri and Saray from Stardom Conversion. So we have 2 5-star Stardom matches against one another.
Damn, you see, I knew it was gonna be tough. I'm like, yeah, you see, this was like the third. This is like the third round. I'm like, damn, it's already tough. It's already tough. I'm gonna stick with. I'll stick with this match. I'll stick with my other pick.
Saya and Tam. Yeah, I'm sticking with Saya and Tam as well. Saya and Tam versus Timeless Toni Storm versus Mariah May, Hollywood Ending.
Ooh, you see? I'm going to go with Hollywood Ending.
I'm going with the Hollywood Ending as well. We seem to be ingredients, but let us know in the chat who you would pick out of this King of the Hill here. We got Timeless Toni Storm and Mariah May versus Let's go with Konosuke Takeshita versus Zack Sabre Jr., King of Pro Wrestling.
I'll stick with the Hollywood ending.
I'm sticking with the Hollywood ending as well. I love Takeshita versus Zack Sabre Jr., but I would stick with the Hollywood ending for this one here. Then we got the Hollywood ending versus Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn from Elimination Chamber.
I'll stick with Hollywood ending. The KO versus Sami wasn't bad. But
that was fantastic. That
was
was one of the best WWE matches of the year as well, but I agree with you. Hollywood ending wins out. Hollywood ending versus Anarchy in the Arena.
I might have to go with Anarchy in the Arena.
I will stick with the Hollywood ending, so we finally have our one where we have to go to the chat. So starting now, chat, let us know. I know you guys are on delay, but Hollywood ending or Anarchy in the Arena? We'll take the first couple of votes in the chat. You guys will choose who wins this one. So is it Timeless Tony Storm and Mariah May from AEW Revolution, the culmination of the near 2-year story between Storm and May? Or was it Anarchy in the Arena, the Death Riders versus Swerve, Omega, the Ops, and Willow Nightingale? Let us know in the chat. We got 2 answers already, and it looks like the Hollywood ending is moving on. So through four matchups, Hollywood ending has won out. So finally, they have the final matchup here. Hollywood ending versus Kenny Omega versus Gabe Kidd from Wrestle Dynasty.
I'm gonna have to go with Omega versus Kidd.
This is tough. I really want to go Hollywood ending here. I really do, but I thought that Kenny Omega and Gabe Kidd was incredible. And I am not Jimmy Macaram, who hated that matchup or hated the fact that I said it's a 5-star plus matchup, but I'm going with Omega and Kidd. The storytelling in that matchup was on another level for me, so I will go with Omega and Kidd.
And it proved that Kenny Omega is still Kenny Omega for me.
Yeah, exactly. Prove to me that AEW is lying to us and that Kenny Omega can actually do singles matches.
True.
So that is our King of the Hill for this week, meaning that next week for part 2 of our King of the Hill, that will be the first matchup that we're talking about. That will be the champion going into next week's part 2. So King of the Hill part 1.
Sounds good.
So producer, in the edit, put the 2 together for one video. Thank you. Talking about AEW Dynamite this week. AEW Dynamite continued with the Continental Classic this week. The show featured Samoa Joe and Eddie Kingston going face to face, with Joe explaining that Hook chose Eddie to learn from, so he can learn from the other side and how the other side lives, and learn from someone who never wins the big one. While Eddie called out Joe for being a sellout and everything that he always hated, Kingston wants the old Samoa Joe, and he will eat him alive otherwise at Winter is Coming next week. Speaking of the Continental Classics, Kazuchika Okada picked up his first win in the Continental Classic over Pac in a great opener to earn his first 3 points in the Gold League. Later, Kyle Fletcher defeated Kevin Knight in an absolutely tremendous encounter to earn 3 more points, 6 points overall in the Gold League. And finally, Claudio Castagnoli beat Jon Moxley in a brilliant main event where Claudio became the first BCC or Death Riders member to defeat Mox. The Ops scored a win over Dark Order. Why is Dark Order on my screen on a Wednesday? I don't know. Post-match, Hangman Adam Page came after the Ops and Hook until security came out to stop him, and he beat them up anyway. Then Hangman cut a very good promo, issuing a challenge to Shibata and Powerhouse Hobbs for next week's Winter is Coming for a tag team matchup against him and Swerve. FTR cut a superb promo going over their rivalry with the Bang Bang Gang before daring them to touch their titles on Collision tonight. And finally, the Timeless Love Bombs picked up a win over Mega Problems in a Hollywood holiday hardcore death match to advance to the AEW Women's Tag Team Title Tournament final, thanks to an assist from the returning Santa Luther. What did you think about Dynamite this week?
I actually enjoyed Dynamite. I thought it was better than last week, in my opinion. Especially the matches, man. The kind of the classic matches. Oh, this really, like, man, they were on another level this week. Because, you know, last week I was like, oh, we had some good matches. We had that, you know, that not so great main event last week. You know, Collision was actually pretty good too when it came to that, to the Continental Classic matches. But this week I was like, damn, like these guys be killing it. Like, kind of felt like pay-per-view like type matches, honestly. Like, that's how great they were. Especially that main, like, Claudio and Mox. Like, not only the storytelling off of that, but like just Mox giving Claudio his props. Like, you know, something's something's building up there. We just got to see what's gonna happen with that. But man, those matches really carried it. Like, that was great. As far as the promo with Kingston and Joe, I thought the promo segment itself was good. It's just that it's kind of crazy what Kingston was saying, because I was just like, bro, you've been looking rough in the ring yourself, and you trying to talk all this shit.
That was my main critique about the promo on Fightful and AE Ramble this week. I was like, Joe should have cut the promo that Kingston cut. Joe should have been the one looking for the old Eddie Kingston back. Because, mind you, Eddie is looking for the old Samoa Joe when the new Samoa Joe's AEW World Champion. It seems like this new one's doing pretty well.
And Samoa Joe, I'm just saying, like, heel face, Samoa Joe was the same guy. But for Kingston to say something like that, I was like, I get what you're saying, bro, but I'm like, you've been looking rough in the ring yourself, and you talking about you want to see the old person. How about no? We got to see the old Eddie Kingston, bro. We got to see that version. And winter is coming. Like, we got to see that. So you can't be saying stuff like that when you've been looking rough yourself. Like, as far as, like, you know, again, like the confrontation itself, you
shouldn't say that you're more worried about going home to sleep instead of selling us on the matchup. The old Eddie Kingston wouldn't have done that.
Yeah, it's just, you know, like the segment itself wasn't bad. Like, how he delivered it wasn't bad. It was what he was saying that I was just like it's a little choice, like a little weird that you're saying stuff like this. Like, that was about it. But overall, I enjoyed Dynamite.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good show. I think I gave it like an 8 out of 10. It just like 7.5, 8 out of 10. I think I went down 7.5 because there's still some stuff that is just like the women's tag team title tournament should have been so much more than it was. I think that the matchup was fun. It was stupid fun on the show, but it just feels like this tournament is like the 5th most important thing on this episode of Dynamite when there's only 5 matches on the show. And why is Dark Order on my TV on a Wednesday? That's also very much a point away from 2 points away from this show because of that.
And I don't know, it's funny because it's very conflicting for me. Like, you know, I like Silver on a personal level. I've worked with him a few times, so it's cool to see him. It was just like, oh, I guess you're just using our Dark Order as a vessel for Hangman, I guess. That's the only thing.
The last time we saw them on Dynamite, they turned on Hangman 2 years ago.
Yeah, and that's why I was like, don't they really hate each other? Like, what's this about? I don't know. I was like, did they just forget, or what's that about? Like, did they change over time and we didn't know behind the scenes? I don't know. Like, okay, cool. Like, yeah.
Like you said, the Continental Classic carried this show heavily, and Fletcher and Knight, oh my god, I want that matchup to be an AEW World Title match, like in a year. I don't need 15 years. I need it next year. Fletcher as the champion against Kevin Knight.
But you know what's crazy about AEW too? Like you got all these great talent that you could legit build up like nice rivalries between them. And I think Kevin Knight and Fletcher, that's a nice rivalry you could build up. Like we already getting in with Fletcher and Briscoe. Like, the fact that somebody like Fletcher is so young, you could do this with him for like multiple people. And I think Knight is one of them.
Knight has been showing out. He's been the MVP of the tournament so far. And I literally said on last week's show that that bump that Darby took against him was the worst thing that happened to Darby. And we got an update on Darby being injured on the show. On this show. And we got an update here on this show that we're going to give you as well. But Knight back-to-back weeks had the match of the night for me. And Kyle Fletcher is just, he's a made man. He's going to be a world champion. It needs to be like next year, hopefully. But I loved Okada and Pac, how they played off the finishes to their first match in the tournament. I especially loved Claudio and Moxley and how different though all three matches were to one another, where Knight and Fletcher was more of like big spots, big moments. Like that drop kick by Knight was the best drop kick on the show that also had Okada doing a drop kick, which says enough. But it looked like it murdered Kyle Fletcher. That was so good. And the springboard clothesline and his ability to hit it from pretty much any angle is great. He's just so exciting. It's like Shelton Benjamin and Rob Van Dam had a baby, and his name is Kevin the Jet Knight.
That's exactly how it is, man. Like, man, like I knew this kid was good, but like, damn, like every time he's getting an opportunity, he's showing out. This is the man they wanted in the PC. Remind you, he didn't want him in the PC. He made the right choice. I don't give a fuck anymore.
Yeah, I agree. I see Old Nutty in the chat putting up a narrative. I don't know about this. He says, I think AEW has passed Eddie by. Not really his fault. They just level up. He says, I'm sorry. It's time to take Eddie out back. He says, with real hoopers like Knight on my screen, Eddie don't move me. I think that you are not kind of taking into account how serious his injury was. And how many great moments Eddie has given us before the injury that I'm willing to give him time to get back to where he was. He doesn't have as much time as probably AEW hopes he does, but I'm willing to give him a little bit more time.
Yeah, you know, and I like if this was like you were talking about like 5 years from now, and he's like so slow and old. I understand. Eddie Kingston came back from a horrific knee injury that it was worse than people thought it was originally. So we also got to keep it in fact that that takes time. He is older, so a lot of the recovery time is going to take a lot of more time. But it also could be a mental thing for Eddie Kingston too, where he's not trying to push it. But I'm not there yet. I do agree that it's been looking rough for Eddie Kingston. There's no denying that. I just don't think that I just don't think what you're saying is, it's your opinion. I just don't think that it's that accurate in my opinion to say like everybody's past him, because he could healthy. This is not even like a debate. If he was,
if he's healthy and motivated, there's nobody better on the mic and as a character than Eddie Kingston in this company. So there is value here. I can understand you saying that the AEW has moved on and leveled up in the ring. Sure. But you have to understand the injury that he's coming back from. So give him time to see if he's able to do it. You can't just say after what has been like 2 months that, oh no, it's over, when they really haven't done anything until like just recently with him. He's actually now in a storyline. They did 2 months of doing jack and shit with him, and now he's finally in a storyline, and you're like, oh, I'm going to call it quits. When he actually showed signs of life with that promo on Collision last week. This promo let us down a little bit or disappointed us a little bit, but it's not like the promo was bad. Like if it was bad, I'd be with you. I'd be like, yeah, we got to take Eddie out back. But it wasn't bad. It was good when we wanted great.
It was his choice of words. Yeah, it was his choice of words that were just like, bro, this don't match what's going on. That's more of what it was. Like, he's a storyteller, Eddie Kingston's a storyteller. It's just, you can't sell me on trying to tell the other guy, oh, I need this old person back when you haven't been looking good yourself. That's all it really is.
Yeah, they just should have flipped the promos around. That's has to do with creative. That has nothing to do with Eddie.
Yeah.
Even Eddie at like that was Eddie at like a 50% passion. It was still a good promo. So imagine him at 100% passionate and motivated. That's what I want. I want to see that from Eddie, and I'm willing to give him time to get there. But someone who might not have time is AEW in general, because big news this week. Warner Brothers Discovery is heading towards Netflix hands, with the streaming giant reportedly winning the bidding war for the company. Both Deadline and The Wrap report that Netflix has won the bidding war for the studio and will now start exclusive talks to finalize a deal. Netflix was initially seen as unlikely to bid for Warner Brothers Discovery, who became an acquisition target for Paramount in September. The streamer was not viewed as a contender for the rights, having made statements suggesting they were not interested in mergers and acquisitions. With ending up having suitors in Paramount, Netflix, and Comcast, Paramount was interested in buying the entire company, while Netflix and Comcast were interested in just in the studios and streaming division and not the networks. WBD announced plans to split the company in June. Paramount made several offers that were rejected before WBD opened up bids in November. Things turned ugly over the past 24 hours as Paramount sent a letter to WBD slamming Netflix and Comcast as potential buyers. Paramount called the process unfair and biased towards Netflix. They also declared that they have an easier regulatory approval process, and that ultimately did not sway WBD. The Wrap reports that, according to sources, Netflix offered about $28 a share for WBD, mostly in cash. There has been a lot of question in the wrestling world what this would mean. After all, Netflix is a partner with WWE, while AEW is the home of, it has a home with WBD, and Netflix is a partner of WWE. So that seems like it's a little confusing and conflicting. Netflix will not acquire the networks, though. They will acquire HBO Max as well as Warner Brothers Studios. AEW is in the middle of a multi-year deal with WBD that sees its simulcast on both TNT and TBS, as well as HBO Max. AEW pay-per-views are also offered at a discount rate on HBO Max. At the same time, Paramount has a deal with TKO to air UFC events on Paramount Plus starting next year. To be perfectly clear, this does not mean the matter is over. Exclusive talks do not guarantee a deal, and the regulatory process will be complicated. However, Netflix and WBD officially announced the sale on Friday morning for $82.7 million. Billion dollars. I was like, God damn, what the these companies, man. Shit.
Bro, I just wish I had $100K. They're throwing away billions, man. I wish I just had $100K.
Billions, I tell you. Billions. So yeah, that $1 billion that breaks down to 27.75 per share for the studio, so lower than the bid for Paramount. Reuters reports that the deal includes $5.8 billion breakup fee. In other words, if the deal fails to close due to regulatory or other concerns, Netflix will pay the $5.8 billion price regardless. As was noted before with the deal with Paramount, they made aggressive bids and badmouth Netflix before they completed this bid. In regards to said regulatory bodies, a couple of notes. First, the FCC will not be involved in this matter because WBD is spinning off its cable stations, including TBS, TNT, CNN, HGTV, and Cartoon Network, and more, into a new company. There are no television license to worry about. The deal will need to pass muster with the Department of Justice, who handle antitrust concerns. The Netflix WBD deal will also need to pass regulatory approval with the European Union. Deadline reports that the EU regulators are likely to block it, but may oppose conditions such as compelling Netflix to maintain film and television licensing agreements in order to avoid monopoly concerns. How the deal may affect AEW. When it comes to AEW, there's a lot that comes up in the air. Again, as previously reported, WBD's cable stations will be spun off into Discovery Global. Netflix is acquiring the studios and streaming side, which includes Warner Brothers Discovery, Warner Brothers Television, Warner Brothers Motion Picture Group, DC Studios, HBO, and HBO Max, as well as their legendary television and film libraries. The most important thing for the immediate future, not much will change. Netflix announced that the Discovery Global spinoff will complete in Q3 of 2026. That's roughly 9 months from now. At that point, the closing process on the deal will begin. Depending on how difficult the regulatory process is, that could take a while. And even given how theater owners and politicians and the Writers Guild of America are reacting, the regulatory process could indeed be drawn out. It should also be noted, however, that the guilds, politicians, and theater owners opposed a Paramount acquisition too. All of this becomes more clear when we remember that AEW's deal with Warner Brothers Discovery runs through 2027. Essentially, if the regulatory process takes long enough, AEW's current deal could be done by then. Less clear is its fate beyond that. WBD has an option to extend AEW's deal to 2028, but the regulatory process could go even past that if it's messy enough. With TNT and TBS going to Discovery Global, AEW is no longer in danger of any conflict with WWE, who are media partners with Netflix in terms of their cable broadcasts. However, HBO Max is heading to Netflix as part of the deal. If HBO Max remains a separate entity, there's little concern. However, Tony Khan has said that HBO Max gets a percentage of AEW's pay-per-view revenue. So business-wise, there is reason for WBD and thus Netflix to want to keep it. However, as the Warner Brothers as the Wrestling Observer newsletter reports, if the two services become integrated, things get a lot messier. Netflix has shown more interest in event-style live events than weekly live programming outside of WWE RAW. It is also worth noting that Discovery Global has reportedly been planning a TNT Sports app after it splits off from Warner Brothers. The Wrestling Observer newsletter notes that if AEW end up on that app, they would lose potential audience members because of the HBO Max's size. As of now, it's not clear whether that will happen. And the TLDR here is that things are very up in the air right now. And for the time being, and perhaps at least until the end of AEW's deal with Warner Brothers Discovery, nothing is expected to change for AEW. What happens after 2027 is far, far too early to say. So that is the total breakdown of this new deal, Netflix purchasing Warner Brothers Discovery. I expect the whole process and regulatory whole thing to last well into a year, honestly. I think that's going to be a year, and it may kind of conflict with when WBD has to extend the option on AEW. So it is going to be a lot. It's going to come a lot faster than people think it is when this thing's going to come to a head. But what do you think about this whole deal and what it means for AEW?
I mean, the deal itself is insane. I didn't expect it to be done this soon, like any type of agreement or whatever the case may be. I honestly thought Paramount will be the main ones to get it just because of network television. I know they were more open to keeping network television. Netflix, obviously, because they're streaming, they have no interest. Things could change when it comes to that, right? Because it happens time to time. There's companies who will buy assets and they figure out like, oh, wait, this is actually might benefit us. Again, this is just all speculation. So I have no idea. I'm just a random guy from Brooklyn, so I don't know none of this stuff. As far as AEW, we won't know the effects until years from now, until this deal basically expires, whatever the case may be. So when it comes to AEW, as of right now, they're okay, but we truly don't know until their deal is either approaching, is coming up, or even when the deal is supposed to be picked up, the option of the year is that's supposed to be picked up. As far as Netflix, is Netflix being like the right suit for it? I mean, it's very conflicting, honestly. There's a lot of people who see this as the best of, when people talk about picking like the less of evils, people see Netflix as that. Just because with Paramount, obviously everything that's going on with Paramount, with the Trump administration basically kind of holding them hostage to a lot of things. Obviously there was real concern based off of that alone. But that's why, when it comes to the writers union, they were going to oppose to it no matter what. If it's Netflix, if it's Paramount, they were going to oppose to it for different reasons. For Paramount, they would have opposed to it because of what I just said about the administration. For Netflix, the reason why it's a bigger deal, it's because I think what affects them more, or will affect them, is more of the movies aspects of that side of things. Just because, when it comes to everything, when it comes to having the union, the actors union, part of it has to do with benefits, has to do with rights, has to do with what you get paid. In Netflix, they kind of cut corners off of that because it's streaming. That's why it's a big issue. That's why it will be a bigger issue for like actors. That's why it affects them more. So that's why this process is going to take longer, because it's going to affect more of the movie business aspect of it, especially if you decide to take it out and you decide to do just streaming. It's definitely going to take a major hit when it comes to the movie industry itself. That's why it's such a big, that's why it's a big concern. Again, when it comes to an AEW, we have no idea what's going to happen until years from now, but it's definitely going to affect the HBO Max stuff. I think that's probably the big concern when it comes to that. Just because, like you said, TK has said that they get a part of, they get part revenue of whatever they make off of HBO Max when it comes to the pay-per-view buys. Obviously, that does affect them when it comes to that. It's just so many freaking directions that is like, it's so hard. Like, it's so interesting. It's so fascinating to talk about stuff like this, but then it's like so confusing, because then it's like, oh, what is actually going on? So you have actually no idea what to really say. I just think right now AEW doesn't have to worry because they have the guaranteed 3-year deal. It's just a matter of what happens after that.
Yeah, it's how Netflix values AEW come 2027 when the option comes up. I think that is when we can further kind of talk about it, see where AEW is at that point. As of now, it's not of that much concern in the wrestling world, and specifically for AEW. There are a lot of misconceptions though going around, because I highlighted this comment, this one in the chat from earlier. Brandon Brown asking, do you think since Netflix owns both, now they can make them do AEW versus WWE Forbidden Portal? They do not own either one of these companies. Netflix is the broadcast partner of WWE. They signed a deal that basically means that they air their weekly Raw show on Netflix. It does not mean that Netflix owns WWE. And just because Netflix owns or bought or made a bid for Warner Brothers Discovery doesn't instantly mean that they own Warner Brothers Discovery right now. And as we told you in the details, it does not have anything to do with AEW and its broadcasting of AEW Dynamite and Collision on TNT and TBS. The earliest that it will have any effect on AEW is in regards to HBO Max, because HBO Max, I think that's a good segue for our next option. HBO Max has been an absolute hit for AEW, where I think this is All Out, Wrestle Dream, Forbidden Door, a third straight pay-per-view where they have made an increase in their pay-per-view buy rates. Max, because AEW's Full Gear pay-per-view reportedly delivered around 140,000 buys, surpassing eternal expectations and possibly bringing the company's best numbers since All In. We said that about All Out. We said that about Wrestle Dream. And now we said that about Forbidden Door. The Wrestling Observer newsletter reported that the event's performance marked a major win for AEW, especially as it continues transitioning its pay-per-view model onto HBO Max. Despite challenges in tracking exact numbers due to HBO Max lower pricing, Dave Meltzer reported that early estimates indicate that Full Gear generated the highest buy count of any AEW event streamed on HBO Max to date. It explained that the platform's pricing structure complicates traditional metrics, but it also positions AEW for broader long-term visibility. As more fans discover AEW shows on Max, a growing percentage of viewership is expected to shift toward the streaming service. Full Gear's strong performance also reflects the promotion's momentum heading into the holiday season. The show featured 13 matches, including the pre-show, culminating in a main event in which Samoa Joe defeated Hangman Page to become the new AEW World Champion. More than 10,000 people attended the event at the Prudential Center as well. So a huge win for AEW when it comes to this buy rate, but another indication that this HBO Max partnership and streaming the pay-per-views has been a success for them and is a real benefit to them that may be in question in a few years with the Netflix deal.
Yeah, and that's I think that's probably, I want to say, the biggest concern, but that is a real concern when it comes to if the deal goes through, right. Them picking up HBO and like me, we were talking about it in the chat. It was me and Romeo. I did bring up a few suggestions, which I'm just like, it was just me giving some thoughts, maybe some opinions, right? There might be a world where they don't merge everything, right? Where they'll keep it as separate entities. They'll keep it as separate, like, hey, we own this, but we'll keep it separate while making money off of it. Again, and there are some companies that do that, but Netflix, I think their idea of taking it is to put it under their platform. So I think it is a situation where Netflix, I think, will eventually get rid of HBO Max, in my opinion. However, if they, there is another segue where if they see it as, hey, Netflix, we can have Netflix do certain things with Netflix that we can't do at HBO Max, vice versa. So we can keep both of them. We can make everybody happy. Because if you merge it, you're probably going to lose more customers that way, because there's no way people are going to, again, streaming is a lot already. So imagine Netflix taking HBO Max. Subscribers, money, like the price is going to go higher. $50-$60. Nobody's going to pay for, not a lot of people are going to pay for that. Max separate to Netflix separate, you're paying less than half of that. It's an idea. It's an idea of like, hey, we could probably still keep every consumer happy. Everybody, we're still making money. Again, I don't know. We truly don't. Everything is so early, but we do know. But Netflix have made their intentions known of certain things they want to do. We truly don't know. But when it comes to AEW and HBO Max, I mean, it's been very successful. Part of All Out, the reason why All Out did better than expected was because of HBO Max. They got it right there at the right time, and it benefited them. And you're kind of seeing it been like, going forward, like ever since All Out, Wrestle Dream, all combined, the total buy rates has been over 400K. That's a good buy rate, and big part of that is because of HBO Max. So, again, everything is so early, but again, it's a lot to talk about that we don't truly understand, but we just got to wait and see what really happens.
It's gonna be interesting. Mr. Towns here says AEW's got 3 options. 1, go to Prime Video. 2, sign a TV deal with NBC/Peacock. 3, turn Honor Club into an AEW ROH hub. That's the worst possible option you came up with for the 3rd option. I know it's nice to have options of 3, but that is a horrible.
You don't want to do that.
Horrible freaking alternative to where they are right now. And NBC Peacock is kind of like hyperbole, like shoot in the sky, rainbows in the sky type of feel. The obvious choice, the obvious option, there's only one option at this point when we don't know as much information. The easiest transition for them is to move their pay-per-views to Amazon Prime and maybe even potentially go to Amazon Prime after the TV deal is done if Warner Brothers are not in that state where they want to extend you further. I think what AEW has been able to do on TNT, TBS, and HBO Max with their pay-per-views and TV should indicate that they should be due for the option year into 2028, and then maybe possibly get another deal from WBD. But we don't know what WBD is going to be or look like with Netflix in control at this time. So
it's tough. But yeah, that 3rd option, you don't want to do that. I think you're better off getting the distributor because that's how you're gonna make money. That's how you're gonna get the most money. That's how you're gonna make profit. That's kind of why WWE, as much as we love the WWE network, that's why they got away from that because they knew they could make more money off of a distributor paying them. So it's business, no matter what. Like, we enjoy what we enjoy, but at the end of the day, business is business, and the whole aspect of it is to make money. So I don't think that the 3rd option, as promising as it sounds for like me and you or other wrestling fans, where it's like, hey, we could just buy this cheaper rate, they're not going to do that because at the end of the day, they got to make money.
Precisely. But AEW had more news to get into as AEW had a potential big signing that should be starting very soon, coming from the independent scene. Lena Kross. AEW is set to sign independent star Lena Kross to a deal. According to a new report, Fightful Select reports that Kross is coming to All Elite Wrestling, with sources in the company saying that she has either signed a deal or will do so very soon. Kross gained some attention after she appeared on AEW Collision and TNA Explosion in the same week back in August. TNA was hoping earlier this year that they could sign the indie star. However, it appears as if that won't be the case at this point. Lena Kross has been busy on the independent scene throughout 2025. Working girls over in Japan. She's also performed for GCW and World Sports Series, Deadlock Pro, and more. In addition to her AEW Collision matchup, she worked a dark match before ROH on Honor Club taping in September. Kross is a former Wrestle Pro Women's Champion and a former Sendai Girls Tag Team Champion. No word as of now on when she may make her official debut with AEW, but this is a great signing by AEW. They're going to need more female talent, especially with the company expanding its women's division with women's tag team division. So this is a great pickup for them. Lena Kross, she's tall. She's got a great look. She's from Australia. So this is the type of person that is good, that doesn't have the exposure from another promotion on her.
Yeah, and I was actually a little surprised that AEW signed her. I actually thought WWE would sign her, just because of her Australian background, and obviously a lot of, when it comes to overseas talent, usually WWE is more promising because at least there's a guaranteed kind of money aspect to that. So I was a little surprised that she picked AEW. I was like, oh shit, this is actually a great move for them. Good move for her. I mean, obviously she made the decision. She feels like it's the right fit. Look forward to seeing more of her stuff, because when I've seen some of the stuff that I've seen already, I was like, oh shit, she's actually really good. You give her the right opportunities, it's really good. So it's a good signing.
Darby Allin is in the hospital, folks.
Hey, you would think for a guy that has flipped off a 20-foot ladder into a plane of glass, who's been hit by a tour bus and climbed Mount Everest, you would be surprised to hear he got injured on his day job. Darby Allin was announced as not being cleared to compete due to injury this week on Dynamite. A new report had some additional details on that. He suffered the injury in his matchup against Kevin Knight in the Continental Classic last week. It was reported on Dynamite that he was said to not be medically cleared for travel or in-ring competition. A new report had a bit of detail on Darby Allin's status and condition. It was noted on Wrestling Observer Radio that, as expected, the injury happened in Allin's match with Kevin Knight. Details on when the injury happened are not clear. Byron Alvarez noted that Allin was released from the hospital and was able to travel home. Alvarez and Dave Meltzer said they did not know of Allin's status or whether he will be able to compete in the Continental Classic. There is still not yet any word on the nature of the injury. And according to the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Allin suffered an injury to his head. The report notes that it was a result of a singular hit and not an accumulation of built-up effects. While it isn't known specifically which moment caused the injury, it was not from the coast-to-coast dropkick delivered. As noted on Thursday, he traveled home, and AEW is waiting until Collision to give an update on the condition of him in regards to the Continental Classic. So we will keep you updated on Darby Allin and his crazy ass life. But the other thing that we have to keep you updated on, it is the newest edition of the series from the acclaimed producers of the Cody Rhodes Watch. From the famed producers of Mercedes Moné Watch, it is time for the Jeri-News! Jeri-News! Break down the Jeri-News of Jericho! Chris Jericho news. Former AEW World Heavyweight Champion has provided an update on his in-ring future with the company and in general in the world of professional wrestling. Y2J has been away from AEW programming since April 2025. A lot of speculation has run rampant about the 55-year-old returning to WWE once his deal with AEW expires later this year. Jericho recently appeared on the Tim Weisberg show to promote his upcoming Kiss tribute act on Saturday, December 6th. During the conversation, the AEW star said that was asked about his in-ring future and the packed schedule that he has right now as a performer. In response, Jericho declared he is not done yet, and fans will definitely see him inside a wrestling ring in 2026. However, he did not specifically say where. He says, well, man, that's the whole thing. He says, I'm not done yet. So I'm still figuring out everything and see where I end up. But I'm pretty sure you'll see me in 2026 in a wrestling ring somewhere. Jericho also opened up about his upcoming Kiss tribute act and about the origins of his new band, Cretain Band. He says, well, it's a little more exclusive than that. We're the world's best and only nonstop 80s Kiss tribute band. So we are playing the stuff that they recorded when they took their makeup off from Heaven's on Fire and Lick It Up and Unholy and Good Girl Gone Bad. And let's put the X in sex and those type of songs. It's really cool. It's something we started during the pandemic, and it was done just for fun with a group of guys that I've known for a while and have always had an appreciation for that era of non-makeup Kiss. Jericho. You cease to amaze me on his ability to always wind up in the news for the stupidest shit. This was not an update. This was just him doing another tease for where he's going to be next. I congratulate him. He's always able to grab headlines because of it.
Yeah.
ROH TV on Honor Club, and they also had a Tuesday special for ROH TV this week on their YouTube channel that featured the Beast Mortals picking up a win over Gravity in the opener. Dalton Castle and the Outrunners beat the Frat House. Layla Gray scored a victory over Trish Adora in a battle ahead of the 6-man title match at Final Battle.
And Persephone beat Diamante in the main event of the show, and then actually got the better of Athena in a back and forth later on as well. Then you had ROH TV on Honor Club on Thursday with the debut of Mercedes Moné, who picked up a win over lovely Miss Larkin, sending a message to Red Velvet. Meanwhile, you had Commander beating the Beast Mortos via disqualification after outside interference from Sammy Guevara. That caused a big brawl with all the participants in the survival of the fittest. Athena was there and had an interaction with Persephone, while Billy Starks defeated Yuka Sakazaki to advance in the ROH Women's Pure Championship tournament against Deonna Purrazzo, who advanced due to a forfeit from Queen Aminata. Then you had last night's ROH Final Battle 2020-2025. This one was a really good show, top to bottom from ROH. This is StreamYard is so weird. They have now a timer on freaking these type of stuff that says ROH Final Battle, where it was only giving me 10 seconds. But anyway, ROH Final Battle. The show featured Athena defeating Persephone in an awesome main event to retain the Ring of Honor Women's World Championship. Deonna Purrazzo made history as she became the first ever ROH Women's Pure Champion in a win over Billy Starks in a good opener to the show. In what I thought was probably the match of the night, Lee Moriarty defeated Nigel McGuinness in a super 30-minute Iron Man matchup after sudden death overtime. I talk about like scientific wrestling, mat wrestling, technical wrestling. This was your bag on this show. It was so good. Later, Moriarty's stablemates, STP, Shane Taylor Promotions, retained the ROH six-man tag team titles against Skyflight in a fun matchup. Ricochet beat Dalton Castle in a rock-solid bout in his first defense as AEW National Champion, while Eddie Kingston picked up a win over Josh Woods ahead of Winter is Coming. LFI's Sammy Guevara and Beast Mortos scored a victory over Tommy Billington and Adam Priest to become the new ROH World Tag Team Champions. Beast Mortos and Sammy were also a part of the Survival of the Fittest, where Bandito retained the Ring of Honor World Championship in a spectacular matchup. This was nonstop, balls to the wall action, made you believe that Bandito was going to lose the title at the end, and then he pulled it out for the victory. And finally, probably the biggest result of the night saw Red Velvet beat Mercedes Moné to win the Ring of Honor Women's TV Championship in what was one of the biggest upsets in recent Ring of Honor history, and not even an argument. Is by far the biggest win of Red Velvet's career. What did you think about Final Battle last night?
Yo, Final Battle was fun, man. It was a really good it was a really good pay-per-view, man. Like, you know, I like the kind of like takeover-esque style where it was just like, you know what, we'll just get a lot of good matches and just put it in here. You know, that's how it felt like, you know. I felt like that's kind of the reason why I say that is because like ROH TV is kind of just like
just a series of squash matches.
Yeah, it's just there. It's just AEW dark. That's really what it is. If you really want to watch like the good shows for it, it's, you know, it's these pay-per-views, you know, and they tend to over-deliver sometimes too in these ROH pay-per-views. You know, last night was no different. It was a really good show. Athena and Persephone, I already knew that was going to be a great match, man. They really need to sign this girl to a duo contract, man.
Persephone, I was like, yo, she's
so good.
She might be the breakout star in all of women's wrestling. Like, as far as like someone I started the year and I knew nothing about her to end of the year, I'm one of her biggest fans. Persephone is it.
she's really good because like I knew about her a little bit because I always saw like pictures of her and like I knew she was in like, you know, Mexico, like she did shows there. But then like, when I actually got to see like her matches, I'm like, yo, like she's really good. You know, last night was no different. And that was a great match. You know, Mercedes losing.
I'd say I was shocked. Persephone and Athena or Nigel and Lee for the match of the night.
Yeah. And Mercedes losing was shocking because I was like, oh shit, they're actually gonna do it. They're actually gonna do the crash out. They're gonna do the downfall finally. Because that's what I was kind of was waiting for. Because that's how you need these title losses mean something. So it's finally starting to happen. And I do agree that Nigel and Moriarty match, man, great fucking match. I mean, Moriarty, man, that dude, I've been seeing him for years in the indies, man.
He's so
Man,
good.
like, he is so fucking good. And I just wish he had more his opportunities have been good when it comes to ROH, like what he's doing with the title. I just want to see more for him. You know what I mean? Like, I think he's that good. But the match itself was great. Like, Nigel putting him over, like it was really good stuff. And then you said like this match with Bandito, like that spot with Hechicero. I was like, damn, the steps. I was like, oh my God.
Dude, yo, Hechicero's bounce off of that shit. I was like, oh man. I was like, this dude is too old for taking bumps like that. And Bandito was awesome in the match. Blake Christian was fantastic in the match. He made me believe he was going to win the title.
Yeah, Blake Christian too. I know they kind of spoke about his the music that your boy Jeremy been wanting, and TK said he owns 1%. That's about it so far.
Hey, we're making progress, guys. We're making progress.
But overall, good show. It was a really good show.
Yeah, they were great. I thought John Moxley on commentary was he was terrific. He was just hilarious. How he would just break out into fucking drunk father watching his kids play football.
For a guy,
Go knock him in that.
Yo, for a guy, because like when he does like these panels, like in Comic-Con, he's like the most driest guy, but then he kind of does like certain things that make it mad funny. But last night it was kind of like that side of him I never really experienced when he does those panels. So it's kind of like it was funny. It was something different. I gotta see more of that, honestly. I wouldn't mind seeing more of that.
I agree 100%. But let's get into New Japan. Over in New Japan, you had their latest week for the World Tag League Tournament, which is coming down the home stretch right now as we hit week 3 of this week, which had day 8, which featured Hiroshi Tanahashi and El Phantasmo picking up a win over TMDK's Zack Sabre Jr. and Rohei Uyoa in a great main event. House of Torture's Ren Narita and Sanada scored a victory over David Finlay and Hiromu Takahashi. Shota Umino and Yuya Uemura scored a win over Monster Sauce in a solid bout, while the Knockout Brothers picked up a victory over United Empire's Callum Newman and Great O'Khan in another great match. Day 6 featured A-block action with War Dragons picking up a win over Team 100's Taichi and Satoshi Kojima in a very good main event. Bolton Oleg and Toriano beat House of Torture's Chase Owens and Yujiro Takahashi. Bishamon scored a victory over House of Torture's Evil and Don Fale, while Gabe Kidd and Yoda Tsuji defeated El Phantasmo and Shuji Ishikawa in a splendid brawl. Day 10 had B-block action as El Phantasmo and Tanahashi scored a victory over Monster Sauce. United Empire defeated Sanada and Narita, while Knockout Brothers picked up a win over TMDK in a very good matchup. And what is many people calling the match of the tournament, you had Shota Umino and Yuya Uemura beat Finlay and Hiromu in a terrific main event. So much fun to have a smile on my face, especially when Finlay throws around Hiromu. It's hilarious. Day 11 had A-block action again with Bishamon scoring a victory over Gabe Kidd and Yoda Tsuji in another banger in this tournament. You had the War Dragons picking up a win over Oleg and Yano, while Evil and Fale beat Despy and Ishikawa, and Chase Owens and Yujiro defeated Team 100 in the A-block action as well. So that is week 3 in A block and B block for World Tag League. We're coming down the home stretch, and of course we'll keep you updated here, and we'll have a review for the final coming up in 1 week's time. So got something to look forward to there.
And then finally, we had CMLL Viernes Espectacular last night. The show featured Defunto and Soberano Jr. beating El Sky Team in a surprising win. You also had Neon, Templario, and Titan scored a victory over Bavanario, Cavanario, Everno, and Volador Jr. in trios action. So some fun stuff from CMLL last night. But will it be talked about for our best, worst moments and matches of the week? It is Chrissy Love's favorite time of the show where we give you our best, worst of the week. Josh, who is your best? Who is your worst from this past week?
Best of the week. Best of the week. Honestly, I'm gonna have to give it to might be surprised with this one. Solo Sikoa. Having his best matchup of his career.
Wow, I did not expect to hear a Solo Sikoa shout out on today's show. Wasn't expecting that. All right, I'm impressed. I'm impressed there. Let's go with best of the week. I'm gonna give it to my homegirl Persephone for that matchup. Like I said, I think Persephone has been killing it this year. She had a banger with Mercedes, but to have another banger here with Athena and be placed in the main event tells me that that Tony Khan is high on her as well. So I'll go with Persephone. I'll be different. Worst of the week, Josh.
Worst of the week. I'm trying to think. Worst of the week. What is the worst of the week for me? Honestly, because it's like trying to think. You go first.
Worst of the week, I'm gonna give it to Triple H and WWE for that piss poor effort at Survivor Series. Like, you hyped us up on Survivor Series and just proceeded to fucking let us down like it was nothing.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Survivor Series because I want to say Triple H, but it's like, man, yeah, it gotta be Triple H. Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta be Triple H. It's not just WWE. We blame the company. We don't blame individuals. He's in charge, so he gets the blame. That's how it works. He can't just avoid the blame because it's not, everybody doesn't love it like he always seems to.
Yeah. But also best of the week, also honorary. I would say TNA for best of the week.
Yeah, you're right. Best of the week is TNA. It's definitely TNA. You're right. 1,000. No, actually, best of the week is split. I'm going best of the week. TNA for signing the TV deal. Roman Reigns for getting his WrestleMania.
That's a good one.
That's my dog for real, man. Tell him, show him who's boss, y'all. Your matches of the week, Josh. What you got?
My matches of the week, I actually got 5. Chrissy Love would be disappointed because she's not here to hear me say 5.
Come on, you gotta give us 5 next week too.
Yeah. So I mean, hey, if it was good as this week, hey, you gotta give me something. Yeah. Number 5, I'm gonna go with Athena and Persephone from last night. Number 4, I'm also going to go with a match from last night, Lee Moriarty versus Nigel. Number 3, I'm gonna go with who Kata faced again in the tournament? Huh? Oh, Pac. I'm going that was number 3 for me. Number 2 was what was number 2? I just had it in my head. No, because that's not my number 1. Claudio versus Mox, and then number 1, I'm gonna go with Kevin Knight versus Fletcher.
Those are good choices right there. I got most of them on my list. I also did a bunch of binge watching to catch up on stuff that I missed over the last month. So I'm gonna have matches from the month of November as well in this list. But I have 15 because of that. Honorable mention to Mortos and Commander versus Atlantis and Defunto from CMLL about 2 weeks ago. Great tag team matchup that they had. Number 15 is Jack Cartwheel, Chris Carter, and LaFleur from Triple A last Friday. Number 14, Gunther versus LA Knight from SmackDown last night.
13, Gabe Kidd versus Gabe Kidd and Yota Tsuji versus Despy and Ishikawa from World Tag League. Then we got 12, Okada versus Pac. 11, Gunther versus Solo. 10, Bishamon versus Gabe Kidd and Yota Tsuji from World Tag League. 9, Claudio and Moxley from Dynamite. 8, Survival of the Fittest from ROH Final Battle. 7, Shota Umino and Yuya Uemura versus Finlay and Aromu from World Tag League. 6, Vikingo and Americano from AAA last Friday. 5, Lee Moriarty and Nigel McGuinness from last night ROH Final Battle. Number 4, Athena versus Persephone from ROH Final Battle. 3, Kyle Fletcher versus Kevin Knight from AEW Dynamite. Any other week, if it's just this week, that's the match of the week. But because I did all my binge watching, I have 2 other matches. Number 2, Sarai versus Shishihiro Hashimoto from Sendai Girls on November 16th. They beat the crap out of each other. Hashimoto is a fucking murderer. And she was getting dropped on her head. That big ass woman getting dropped on her head by Sarai. Sarai is awesome. And number 1, the best high flying match of the year, right there with Bandito and Dorada, was Masquerada Dorada versus Commander for the CMLL welterweight championship from 2 weeks ago. Oh my God, they're doing like Spanish flies over barricades. They're doing 450s and shooting stars. Go out of your way to watch that one. That is the match.
So you know what's funny that you mentioned that because months ago when he did AEW Grand Slam in Mexico, I posted that Mystical video, right? So ever since that, like my timeline shows up like CMML stuff, and like that was one of the clips that I saw.
Yo, that match was sick, dude. It was so fucking sick. And moment of the week, Bronze Pipe Bomb.
This pipe bomb.
Boom. There we go. That is our moments of the week, best and worst, and matches of the week. Very quickly to cap things off, we got NXT Deadline tonight. So as quick as possible, we're giving you rapid-fired predictions for tonight's show, as it's only 5 matches because it's a WWE show. They always can give us 5 matches. That's about it. But we got for the Women's Iron Survivor Challenge, it's going to be my girl, Kendall Gray, So Ruka, Kalani Jordan, Jordan Grace, and Lola Vice. They will compete in the 25-minute score the most points as possible matchup. Josh, who you got?
I'm going to go with Jordan Grace.
I'm gonna go with So Ruka here. I think Ruka gets the win. Then we got for grudge match, Tatum Paxley versus Izzy Dame. Who you got, Josh?
I got Paxley.
I got Izzy Dame here. Then we got for the NXT North American Championship, Ethan Page versus Mr. Iguana. Who you got?
Oh, come on, Ethan Page, Mr. Iguana. Why? Why are we getting?
I got Ethan Page as well. The opener for tonight's show, Ricky Saints versus Obafemi for the NXT Championship. But on top of that, winner faces Cody next Saturday night's main event.
I got Cody's son, Ricky Saints.
Cody's son, Ricky Saints. I got Ricky Saints as well to retain and face Cody. And then the men's Iron Survivor, Miles Bourne, Dion Lennox, Javon Evans, Leon Slater, and Joe Hendry. Who you got?
I'm gonna go with Slater. Fuck it.
I'm gonna go with Miles Bourne to get the win, unfortunately. But yes, that is our picks, our prediction, our final predictions for Deadline. We're doing a late review tomorrow because I just got informed I'm going to the Knicks game tomorrow afternoon. So we'll do a late review, probably like 5 p.m., 6 p.m. review for Deadline. So join us here for that. Or maybe we'll do Deadline and ROH Final Battle. You let me know what you think. But that brings us to then on another edition of the Flagship Podcast. Thank you so much, Josh, for joining me. Thank you to our special guest, Pluggo, as well. Josh, let the people know where they can follow you on social media and when they might see you again.
You can follow me, JMPunk321, on X and Instagram, and also on YouTube. I've been posting more shorts on that as well. So you can follow me on those platforms, and then next week I'll be back for the next podcast episode.
Indeed. We'll probably have another special guest for you next week. Be on the lookout. Like I said earlier, our community tab will have our ballots opening for the Tru Heel Heat year-end awards. The Heaties have come back, so you can put in your awards there. We'll also be starting to drop year-end videos in about 2 weeks' time as well. So you got a lot to look forward to here on the channel. You can follow me on the Twitter machine at Tru Heel SP3. You can follow the gang, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at Tru Heel Heat, patreon.com/Tru Heel Heat. $3 a month gets you exclusive content. The best way to support us when we are not live here. If you haven't already, like this video, share this video, subscribe if you are new, comment down below if you're watching us on demand and you want to keep the conversation going. What did you think about Netflix purchase of WBD, Roman Reigns, changing the plans for WrestleMania, Survivor Series, Raw, SmackDown, everything in between? We can keep the conversation going in the comment section. So always appreciate you for that there. Like I said before, I'll be back tomorrow evening for our NXT Deadline and probably ROH Final Battle review. So I'll do a combo of both of those shows. Join me for that. And I will also be back next week for Rated Raw review and all the regular shows that you enjoy. But appreciate y'all for joining us. Thank you to Pluggo. Thank you to Josh. It is me, your Tru Heel Phenom, SP3. This has been Tru Heel Heat 358, streaming Survivors. We are signing off until next time.